If you've ever had too many games to watch at once, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Friday, March 27th edition. We get you all set to head off into your weekend here today. Rough day yesterday, more red arrows here in the futures this morning. We'll see where we go. We do have some news to go through. Of course, we've got the guest that y'all folks want. Mark Putrino is coming on. We've got Anne-Marie today. We're going to have Sandra after we end. And of course, we're going to have 13 breaking down some of the movers here for you today. It is a Friday, and we are almost at Mice Down Drinks Up time. One more session to get through. And y'all know Friday is a fun day around these parts. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Friday edition for March 27th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thursday evening. I went one for three on my bets, but I still ended up in the green. Thank you, Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks, for that one. But we're back here. We're going to end the week strong. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces, and our human chat scanner is first here today. Good morning, Billy. It's great to see you. ONCO. It has a micro float now. It's popping here this morning. It is up on a 1-for-5 reverse split. They filed a Form 8. That's why the stock is going here. It actually had a pretty decent pullback into a fair value gap and then a move above the VWAP. So let's just glass half full here. Let's just say that is a sign of things to come. And if that's the case and that holds up, we are in for a good day. Billy, good morning. Welcome back. Thanks for all that you do for us here. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you again. Happy Friday. Yeah, so fine. Good morning and welcome back. It's great to see you. Brent, Big Hurt, good morning. Love trading through the VWAP first thing on 7 a.m. I love that consistently every single day you are up early and at them trying to get it done. It is that attitude. I absolutely love seeing that throughout our community. I've learned that attitude from others who have more experience than me. I love seeing it reflected. Go get him, Brent. Go get him. Big Dave, good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you. Cad Monkey, good morning. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit. Hopefully the biscuits are crispy. Good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you, of course. Zach McCracken, GM to the Benzi gang. Breaking it up there. Adding a little bit more spice to it, maybe. Good morning, Zach. It's good to see you, or good afternoon, where you're at. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. It is great to see you. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Great to see you again as well. Jim, good morning. Welcome back. Remember, Jim, I on Happy Hour last night said that we were probably going to gap down this morning based on the way the market closed. Now, I don't know if we're going to close green here today, at least, or close red here today. Don't know yet, but kind of anticipated this based on our discussion yesterday. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Producers locked in and ready to do this. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Lost Penny, good morning. Welcome back. Catherine, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back. Francis, likewise, great to see you. Marionette, good morning and good evening to you in Asia. We appreciate you and all of your support and all of your feedback. By the way, Durkis, good morning. Welcome back and happy birthday. It's not my birthday today, but I will take the late birthday because one of the things that my sister Deirdre told me was that the birthday celebration is a month long. And that might be because her birthday is also in March, and that's just kind of what we do around these parts. But I appreciate that. It's not today, but thank you. And perhaps more importantly, great to see you and good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. EKS, good morning. Welcome back. EKS, I love the stat drops. You're excellent for this. Historically, every time the real earnings yield has dipped below zero, like 1987, 1999, and 2007, a bear market or a correction of at least 20% followed. Dun, dun, dun. EKS giving us the negative stats here this morning. But we take stats of all kind, EKS. Good morning and welcome back. The Noob. Good morning and welcome back. CoinFox, good morning and welcome back. It's great to see you. CoinFox, just really quick, I did notice that Bitcoin awfully weak here this morning. We had talked about Bitcoin a little bit on Happy Hour. You have any support area or maybe add back area on what you think here on Bitcoin, areas where you're looking to buy? Let me know. Curious on that. And then maybe also outside of Bitcoin, what other coins do you in fact like? Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. Welcome back. Whis, it's great to see you. Good morning. Rich in debt or rich in debit. Okay, good morning. Welcome back. So CoinFox saying, go Illinois. So despite living in Illinois, I don't root for the Illini. I know a lot of people that went to school there, and I'm happy for each and every one of them, including you, CoinFox. I will say I had Houston in my Final Four, so that was a pretty big upset. But I am still on track to actually cash in the bracket as long as a couple of other things go well. So glad you're happy. It was an exciting game nonetheless. Fasaya, happy Friday. Good morning. Maverick, good morning. Perp for Lifeski, good morning. Cam, good morning. AC, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. Ed, good morning. And Crankbait, good morning. Excuse me, Lost Penny. I beg your pardon. Today is my birthday. I'm picking up a red 1966 Austin Healey from Connecticut. Okay. Happy birthday. That sounds like a classic. Do me a huge favor and enjoy not only today, but the rest of the week and month. March birthdays, they're good ones. Wasn't I telling you that? They're good ones. Everyone else, happy birthday to Lost Penny. Let's wish him a happy birthday here. Astro Kev, good morning. JJ, good morning. Welcome back. C Boogie, good morning. Welcome back. Jay Harris, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. It's great to see you. Brandy, welcome back. Good morning. Kenneth, good morning. Fairchild, good morning. Don't fight the Fed. You guys with your handles. Smiles on the face earlier. That's priceless. Good morning. Welcome back. Debt AI. Good morning. Welcome back. Dan Nick. Good morning. Welcome back. Charlie. Good morning. Welcome back. Canarp. Good morning. Welcome back. Pachi. Good afternoon from Belgium. It's great to have you back here. Joe. Good morning. Cam. Good morning. All right, folks. Let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, we've got red arrows across the board ahead of Friday's open here. It's continued to sink here in the pre-market as well. S&P futures down 0.47%, the Dow futures down 0.44%, and the NASDAQ futures down 0.69%. Now let's take a look at some cues from last session here. Let me go ahead and share the right screen. Consumer discretionary, information technology, and industrial sectors led the S&P 500 lower on Thursday, while energy, utilities, and real estate sectors were the only ones to finish in the green. On Thursday, President Trump pushed the deadline for Iran to finalize a deal back by 10 days to April 6th. This move halted planned strikes against the Iranian energy infrastructure, as he asserted the negotiations were progressing, quote, very well, end quote. Tehran, however, reportedly rejected a 15-point U.S. proposal conveyed through Pakistan, with a senior Iranian official telling Reuters that senior officials and a representative of the supreme leader found it served only American and Israeli interests. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.45%, and the 2-year bond was at 4%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show the markets are pricing in a 93.8% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged in its April meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today, and the first one is going to be Unity Software. It surged 15.24% in the pre-market on Friday after it released strong preliminary results for its first quarter. Company sees first quarter revenue in the range of $505 to $508 million versus the prior guide of $480 to $490 million. The next stock on our list is going to be Oracle, ticker ORCL, and it was down 0.15% despite announcing a significant expansion of its Nashville footprint, signing a lease for 116,000 square foot in the Neuhoff district, adding to its ongoing development in the area. Simultaneously, AI solutions company Veritone, ticker VERI, which dropped 7.97%, announced a multi-year agreement to migrate its AI solutions to Oracle's cloud infrastructure, or the OCI. The next stock on our list is SoFi, ticker SOFI, and it was down 0.63% after it announced the expansion of its loan platform business, or LPB, committing over $3.6 billion in personal loan delivery across 3 new partnerships. The next stock on our list is Data Centrex. The ticker on this one is DTCX, excuse me. It plunged 30.1% after it announced the pricing of a $20.17 million public offering at $2 per share, a notable discount to its recent trading price. The final stock on our list here today is going to be Southland Holdings. The ticker is SLND, and it slumped 34.16% following the release of its fourth quarter and full year 2025 financial results. The quarter saw a steep drop in fourth quarter 2025 revenue to $104 million from $267.3 million a year ago, alongside a gross loss of $194.3 million. All right. It appears I jumped the gun a bit there, and I apologize for that. I'm just excited. It's a Friday. What can I say? Let's take a look at the SPY chart. We are continuing our rollover here, and we've talked about being rejected at the 200. We actually had 3 tests at the 200 and were rejected there. That actually served as pretty good entry for an extended down move. So congrats if anyone took that. We also, on the way back down, broke the supporting trend line that we had identified from the 4-hour chart that goes back to, what is this, the beginning of 2026? Yeah, pretty much the brand new year here. So where do we go next? That's going to be the big question. If we look on the current SPY chart, we're basically right in a consolidation range from August to September, basically the month of August or the second half of August. And I think that we could probably continue to fall further. I still have my eye set on that 628-ish area. Additionally, I would be entirely unsurprised if we overshot that and went to something like 620. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if we tried the round 600 number, given how far up we've moved since last April. I anticipate that we are going to find some support around there. I also have another support level here marked off at 612.81. This again goes back to a former all-time high that served as a breakout level that now should serve as support. And in fact, this level was never actually tested. Sure, we came back towards it, but we didn't actually test it. And I would suspect that we're going to have a little bit more support there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. According to senior global market strategist Scott Wren, the U.S. economy is currently navigating shorter-term inflationary effects driven by geopolitical conflict. Wren notes that while the S&P 500 index recently dipped 1.9%, there are signs of stabilization as warring parties step back from, quote, serious escalations, end quote, that threaten to spike energy prices. The economic impact remains widespread across many segments, primarily through surging oil prices that increase costs for both consumers at the pump and businesses relying on trucking. Wren observes that because, quote, America relies heavily on truckers, end quote, rising diesel surcharges are likely to be passed on to U.S. consumers. Despite the volatility, however, Wren believes political constraints will ultimately restrain the duration of the war as all sides seek to avoid extensive structural damage to the region's main income source. For the stock market, he recommends a tactical shift, and that comes in 2 parts. The first part here is rebalancing. Move from a heavy energy-related exposure back to a neutral rating. And the key here is that the neutral weighting, what he is actually saying by that is we talked about energy being a theme in 2026. We talked about that in 2025 going into 2026. There were a ton of energy plays that have worked. GEV is probably the one that we've talked about the most, I would say. Maybe I'm biased just because of we've talked about that on Happy Hour too. But what he's saying here is a move back to neutral weighting. So I don't read that as dump all your energy stocks. In fact, it's maybe trim some of those, dial some of that back, book some of those gains, raise some more cash. If we do end up moving lower, possibly to the 10 or maybe even 15% pullback from all-time high range, By taking some gains on energy, you will have reduced your risk profile, raised more cash, and have more dry powder on hands for deploying that capital when the bottom inevitably shows itself. The second part of this is sector rotation. Redirect funds from U.S. large cap equities and favored sectors like financials, industrials, and utilities. And I think this is, I understand what he's saying here, but I think the other part of this that he doesn't mention is where to go. And I think that there's two things there. I think that the whole conversation that we've had about dollar cost averaging on quality companies, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of good there. And I think, again, as long as your time horizon is long enough, that's probably not going to be a bad thing at all. The other thing here is it's okay to be cash. If you're in the camp where you think the market's going to move lower, or the uncertainty and the conflict has you hesitant maybe, then cash is a position, and it's an okay position. Probably will do better when you deploy that when you're comfortable, or when you have a thesis that you really like, as opposed to kind of just meandering around with whatever's going on. We do get the final March consumer sentiment reading. That'll be released by 10 here today. Okay, I thought this story was interesting. This headline here is that the NASDAQ 100 flashes a rare historical pattern. It's the sixth time in 41 years, and it may be set to recover soon after breaking below the 100-day break. So kind of exciting here. The NASDAQ 100 has crossed a notable threshold, trading below its all-time high for 100 consecutive days. However, with the index hovering less than 10% off its peak, historical data suggests tech investors shouldn't panic just yet. According to the recent market analysis shared by the Kobisi letter, the tech-heavy index has entered a highly unusual consolidation phase. The NASDAQ 100 has now gone 100 days without hitting a new record high, marking its longest such streak since 2023. It made its last record of 26,182.10 in October of 2025. Despite not hitting an all-time high, the index has avoided a major correction, remaining with 10% off its peak. The index closed Thursday at 2,300,586.99, just 9.91% below its previous record. This specific combination, 100 days below the high but down less than 10%, is an exceptionally rare market signal. It marks only the sixth time this exact pattern has occurred since 1985. Despite the prolonged stall, Kobisi notes that, quote, history suggests technology stocks are set to recover soon, end quote. Now, I'm going to give you this story and drop this in the chat here for you. It has the tweet that it is referencing, as well as a chart that you might find helpful there. If historical precedents hold, the current holding pattern could act as a springboard for significant gains. In the previous 5 instances of this specific setup, the NASDAQ 100 demonstrated a remarkable track record of upward momentum shortly after. Data indicates that 1 month after flashing this signal, the index was flat or positive 80% of the time, yielding an average gain of 1.1%. 2 months out, the average return bumps up to 2.3%, maintaining the same 80% win rate for positive outcomes. The most compelling data for long-term tech bulls emerges when looking a full year ahead. In all 5 prior occurrences since 1985, the NASDAQ 100 was undeniably higher 12 months later. This flawless 100% positive outcome rate was accompanied by a robust average gain of 17%. While past performance never guarantees future results, this rare market convergence provides a strong statistical case that the current lull in the market is merely a pause before a breakout. So NASDAQ here, the ETF tracking the NASDAQ 100 index, the QQQ, it's declined by 6.4% year to date, while the index itself, beg your pardon, is dropped by 6.42%. Okay, now, next story here. It's a Jim Cramer special. Definitely want to get opinions of the group here. Jim Cramer warns Meta isn't the next big tobacco. Forget lawsuits. focus on AI, investors are going to regret selling. And for those of you that don't have Meta and didn't sell it, perhaps this might be a buy signal for you. Can't wait to hear what you guys think about this. CNBC's Jim Cramer is urging investors not to panic sell Meta Platforms, ticker META, following a multi-million-dollar courtroom defeat, arguing that the tech giant is not the next big tobacco and that its heavy artificial intelligence investments will drive massive future growth. Meta shares tumbled nearly 8% after juries in Los Angeles and New Mexico found the company liable for purposefully designing addictive apps that harmed young users. The California verdict bypassed the industry's traditional Section 230 legal shield by treating social media platforms as defective products, drawing heavy comparisons to the historical downfall of big tobacco. Cramer, however, firmly rejects that narrative. Quote, if you decide that you're going to sell Meta because it looks like this is going to be big tobacco, it's not going to be big tobacco, end quote. Cramer stated that, of course, according to CNBC. He argued that tech companies have been far more transparent about platform risks than the tobacco industry ever was. They've used the stock's recent 15% slump in March as a prime buying opportunity rather than its death knell. Investors are going to regret selling Meta stock, Cramer warned, pointing out that upcoming earnings and CEO Mark Zuckerberg's decisive corporate restructuring could easily spark a major rally. What do you guys think of that so far? Instead of dwelling on the legal battles, Cramer advises focusing on Meta's underlying fundamentals and its massive AI infrastructure buildout. The company expects capital expenditures between $115 billion and $135 billion this year. While that spending surge has temporarily pressured the stock, Cramer insists it is a vital move to ensure the mega cap company is not left behind in the AI race. Meanwhile, Meta also announced on Thursday that it is increasing investments in its El Paso, Texas AI data center to $10 billion, a more than six-fold jump as it aims to hit 1 gigawatt capacity ahead of the facility's projected opening in 2028, and that is according to Reuters. Other market experts agree that while the short-term legal optics are rocky, the long-term tech thesis remains highly intact. Joe Tagay, portfolio manager at Rational Equity Armor Fund, cool name by the way, echoed a similar sentiment regarding Alphabet, or ticker GOOG, which was also penalized alongside Meta in the Los Angeles lawsuit. While Tagay acknowledged that immediate downward pressure on social media stocks, he told Schwab Network that he is, quote, very bullish in the long term. So it sounds like he agrees with Cramer wholeheartedly here. Applauding Alphabet's own multi-billion-dollar tech investments, Tagay noted that these companies are properly funding their futures and innovating ahead of the curve rather than simply resting on their legacy platforms. Now, looking at this here, Meta has declined by 17.05% year to date here, and it has outpaced the losses of the NASDAQ 100. So just going back to our last story, it makes me wonder if the NASDAQ starts to bounce, does Meta maybe trade to the upside in an outsized way as it did to the downside? Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see here. Now, this next story here, I know 13's not on here yet, but you might as well just consider this a victory lap for him. Honest to God, he has been saying that Netflix has a content problem. And I guess I'd be curious to let you folks know. I know we talk about Netflix quite a bit around here, so I'd like to get opinions from the group, from those that own and maybe those that don't but are looking to own or maybe considering it. I'd like to know what you think about this next story here. Netflix, ticker NFLX, is again raising prices across all its streaming plans. I think that's the second time in a year, too. The company announced Thursday that monthly rates will climb by at least $1, citing expanding investments in original programming and live events. So they're citing their content. The ad-supported plan now costs $8.99. That's up from $7.99, while the standard plan jumps to $19.99, and the premium tier rises to $26.99. Fees for extra member add-ons have also increased. Those are $6.99 per additional user on ad-supported plans. It was previously $5.99, and $9.99 for ad-free accounts. And again, that's up from $8.99, up just $1 again. Netflix justified the price hike by pointing to its growing slate of content and new ventures, such as live shows and video podcasts. The streamer plans to pour $20 billion into programming this year, roughly $2 billion more than in 2025, and it aims to boost both subscribers and ad revenue. The company previously forecasted 2026 revenue between $50.7 billion and $51.7 billion, noting that higher membership fees and near doubling of ad income would drive growth. The move follows similar hikes by other major streamers seeking to balance rising content costs with profitability pressures. So let me know what you think about that. Do the price increases, or maybe I should rephrase that. Do the multiple price increases, does that shake you from wanting your Netflix subscription? My thought on this is that it probably won't, just from talking to, and not even my own opinion, because remember, I'm not a continuous Netflix subscriber. I order it only for the football games in the holiday season. But my thought from talking to people is that a slow $1 or $2 price increase probably not going to steer people away from Netflix. And then furthermore, when I think about that versus the cost of what like cable TV is and stuff like that, we're still like exponentially lower in most cases. So I'd be curious to know what you folks think about that. Positive Trader. I personally only like a few things on Netflix. However, the rest of my family just love it. So to each their own, I guess. I would agree with that. And Positive, I would imagine that if the rest of your family loves it, you're going to keep it, right? You're going to bite the bullet, so to speak. I hesitate to even use that term, but I think you know what I mean. Ed says, greed sinks all ships. Indeed, that's true. GP says, I canned Netflix 6 years ago because of the money increases, but the stock seems to like the news, up over $1 in the last 10 minutes. Joe, I'm not even going to read that one. Anyway, let me know what you think here on Netflix. We'll see how this trades. It actually is trading up as we speak right now. It is spiking in the pre-market to a new pre-market high of 94.35. 94.35. Okay. Next here, I know we've talked a lot about SpaceX and some of the new IPOs and all of that. SpaceX, I am still in the camp that I think this is going to be the biggest one all year. I'm excited for it. I've got a couple of things on this, but let's start right here with this. Rex Shares and Tuttle Capital Management have filed for exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, aimed to deliver twice the daily performance of SpaceX and Anthropic once the companies begin trading. Get ready for those levered ETF, folks. Get ready. The proposed funds, branded as 2X leveraged ETFs, reflect a growing trend among asset managers to move aggressively and secure early mover advantages in products tied to high-profile listings. Reuters reported that on Thursday. Did anyone think we weren't going to get the levered ETFs on this? I mean, come on. SpaceX is widely expected to file for an IPO in the near term, while Anthropic is also seeking to go public in 2026. And in fact, I saw a tweet this morning that says Anthropic's looking to target September, October. Both companies have drawn intense investor interest, making them prime targets for speculative retail-focused investment products. More about the retail angle on that here in a sec. Industry participants say these filings underscore how competitive the ETF space has become, with firms attempting to position themselves ahead of rivals even before key details of the IPO are confirmed. The planned ETFs aim to amplify daily stock movements by 200%, a structure that can both magnify gains and losses. Leveraged single stock ETFs have gained traction among retail traders trading volatile market names like Tesla or Nvidia. However, analysts caution that such products carry elevated risk, and we've expressed that caution here on the show as well, especially when tied to companies that have yet to debut in public markets. So I know we're all kind of excited about the SpaceX IPO. Totally get it. I'm with you on it. Let me know if you're also excited then about the levered ETFs for these. All right, we got Mark Putrino coming up here. Just sit tight for 1 sec. I did very quickly want to go over one more story here. This is about Unity. Shares are rising in Thursday's after-hours session, and again here in the pre-market, they're holding higher. After the company released strong preliminary results for the first quarter, Unity announced on Thursday that it expects first quarter results to come in above the prior guidance. The company sees first quarter revenue in the range of 505 to 508 million versus the prior guide of 480 to 490 million. Unity also guided for first quarter adjusted EBITDA of 130 to 135 million versus the prior guidance of 105 to 110 million. The strong performance in the quarter was driven by Unity Vector, which is expected to grow 15% sequentially in the first quarter. Unity also announced that it will be sunsetting its Iron Source ads network. That will be effective April 30th. The company expects the change to drive faster revenue growth and higher adjusted EBITDA. Quote, Unity Vector continues to deliver robust growth each quarter, driving results meaningfully above our guidance. Today's actions will accelerate Vector's impact on our businesses, enhancing both revenue growth and profitability. End quote. That was Matt Bromberg, president and CEO of Unity. So let me know what you think here on Unity. Are you trading this? Is this one on deck? And you know what? Might we have a trade on that here today? That actually has a pretty good pre-market chart. We can check it out when we get to the pre-market pulse section. But now we go to another one of our favorite segments and also one of our favorite guests. Let's go ahead and bring on Mark Putrino and kick our Friday off in the right way. Mark, good morning. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Look, I want to ask you about your bracket. UConn plays tonight, so we'll see. I'm still doing all right there, but I gotta say here, I've really started to look forward to this segment every single week. You bring a calm, analytical view to a lot of this stuff, and I think it just really helps me, and I think it helps others. So thanks for being with us here, not only today, but every day.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You are very welcome. All right. Do you want to share your screen or your charts here?
Yes.
Gives me an opportunity to have tea. All right. What do you got for us today, Mark?
All right. Well, let's start off with a little psychology/history lesson here, because obviously the market looks pretty weak. And in a situation like this, we want to figure out, all right, where are the next possible bottoms? A lot of times markets find bottoms at former bottoms. Even if we go back to the COVID crash, or I'm sorry, even if we go back to the tariff thing back in April, look at where it found a bottom, the bottom back here, okay? If we go back to the COVID crash, that was back in early
2020, yeah. They canceled the tournament that year. I was mortified.
Yeah, so this is the COVID crash, and where did this find a bottom? Well, people really don't remember, but we had a big sell-off in the end of 2018, right? So markets tend to find bottoms at former bottoms. So look at these guys down here, all right? So this is 1889. I would be willing to guess or bet that no one who is in this crowd, despite the fact that some of them are probably very wealthy, none of them probably have internet or cell phones or access to social media, right? I mean, right. I think that's a safe bet.
That's a safe bet.
Now let's go back and look at a chart from when that was taken, 1889, which would be right in there somewhere. Now look at this. What do we see here? Markets find bottoms at former bottoms. So this is the hold your, throw all the 420 jokes you want at me. In my day, it was 24/7. But this thing found support in 1885 around 420, 1893, 1896. And then you can see up here, there was support of these bottoms. So it's just as important thing to look at. And I like to show this to people because I think it reinforces the fact, and it's a very important fact, that what we're doing here is psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have to look at the markets in terms of psychology and supply and demand. One of the biggest problems
You know,
that I
Mark,
see.
really quick. Sorry, let me jump in there because I've thought about this too. We've discussed this. You and I have discussed this a few times, and I've thought about this. You know what this also tells me? This also tells me that some of the hoopla or the thought about algos ruining things, this, that, and the other, that's not actually the case, right? Because the algorithms are programmed by humans. The humans still have the psychological aspect of this. While the algos might make something more mechanical, it's still based off human psychology. And you just outlined, look what happened before algorithms and computers were invented. It's doing the same thing now.
Yeah. I mean, if this chart was not labeled, this could be, I could have this not labeled and be like, hey, you guys see this latest breakout on this new AI stock? And no one would be able to know that
Nope.
it's
We'd
not
all
an
be
AI
like, what's the ticker? Give it to us.
So, yeah, I mean, there is, Wall Street is full of people trying to build a better amount. Oh, shoot. Sorry, man. I forgot to shut my phone
You're
off.
good, man.
Probably just some spam call anyway.
That's a persistent spam call, too. I'll tell you what, we're trying to get a hold of you about your car's extended warranty.
All right. Yeah, somehow my name got on some list where I've been approved for some kind of debt relief. And I get all these calls from all these different numbers, and it's different voices, men's, women's, but they're all 42 seconds long. So when I see on
Yep.
my voicemail something's 42 seconds long, and it's the
I've
same
heard
thing.
that recording before.
And then they come in from numbers that look local. Like here,
Yep.
the area code is 203. They'll come in from like 230, or something that kind of is the same numbers that looks kind of similar or whatever. But anyway, so I guess the obvious thing to look at is where would the next bottom here be? And former bottom here, right around 630, 632 or so. So I mean, it is possible that we can get there. So then what we want to do here, if that's about another let's call it 2.3%.
And I also measured from the all-time high to about 628 on the SPY is roughly 10% from the all-time high. So that 630 level, only a couple of points more represents 10% or thereabout, depending on how you draw your line.
Yeah. And I think the thing that was kind of telling, which I was watching on this, I don't know if I remember this, mentioned this last week, but here's our tech sector. And this is the biggest sector in the market, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And we have really here just like a classic descending triangle pattern. And these patterns tend to be pretty reliable. And I think a problem that some retail traders have, or even some institutional traders, is they look at these patterns and they say, oh, it looks like this pattern, it looks like that pattern. But they don't really understand what it is that the pattern is showing. Now, we have to remember a chart is a graphical illustration of psychology. So basically down here around the support line, the support is horizontal. That shows you that the buyers have been willing to just kind of hang out. They're like, all right, well, if the sellers come to me, I'll buy. If not, I don't really care. It's not I'm in no rush here. But over the same time horizon, the sellers are getting more aggressive and they're coming in at lower prices. So markets go in peaks and valleys. And when the peak is at a lower level than the former peak, we call that a lower high. That's an illustration of buyers becoming more aggressive and impatient. Sellers. I had that backwards. So the descending triangle pattern is a graphical illustration of aggressive sellers and complacent or patient buyers. So these are pretty reliable. And when this thing broke yesterday, it kind of just, really started to get going lower. And I guess the level to watch here would be down around 128 or so, former bottom. So if you're trading, anything in the market, you should probably keep an eye on this because this is going to drive the broader markets.
And does that fill that gap going back to the left-hand side of the chart there, that candle here today? Are we about? Yep, look at that.
Yeah, we fell right through it.
Bang.
And then that's a good point, Ryan. So that's a good thing to bring up. Now, we had the sell-off yesterday and look at where it ended. So it wasn't just a coincidence. Now, if we look at this chart here, we have to understand that in the market, certain price levels are more important than others. Now, this price level here, when it gapped up and ripped higher, that made this level important. Think about the people that sold here. When they were done selling the next day, it's like in your face, man. It's like not only did it go higher, it's like it ripped higher. So these people are kicking themselves and they're saying, if I can ever buy this back at the same price I sold them at, I will. So something like this, if something gaps from a level, it makes that level important. When a price changes at a level, when a trend changes at a level, it makes it important. So when this turned here, it became an important price level. And when we sold off here, right, that was support. So this was the first trend change. And after that happened, that kind of established this as an important price level. But it looks like this morning we're breaking below it. So that's tech. And let's look at the rest of these guys. Communication services looks pretty interesting. Now, this is where Facebook and Google are. And check this out. I can no longer use the Facebook symbol. Did you see that?
Okay. So you have to do Meta now.
Yeah, they finally broke me, Ryan.
Okay. Well, Mark, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. We'll have to adjust.
Yeah. Okay. There still is Google though. The Google symbol is still out there. I don't know if they'll ever change that one.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, well, just don't stop changing symbols. Like Google, I know Google is Goog. Like I don't need it to be alpha. I mean, come on.
Yeah. All right. Wow. This looks pretty interesting here too. So we could have some pretty more meaningful downside here. All right. But like I said before, what we want to do is figure out where the bottoms are. And I think this is kind of an interesting kind of counter trend play here. If we go back to the communication services. So this is what I'm writing about in today's stock of the day. So communication services is at a bottom, but look at AT&T. This thing looks like it's on the verge of a breakout.
Yeah, it does.
So I think if the market reverses and communication services reverses, I think that this could break out and we could have a pretty meaningful move here because this would be breaking into all-time highs. And just the action that the stock is doing so well when the broad sector isn't, I think that I think that says something. I mean, I don't know how you can really define it other than saying it's good action or it's outperforming the market, I guess. All right. Next, we want to take a look over here at healthcare. And I think for people that watch the market, it's really good to know what these sectors are doing because it just keeps things in perspective and it just makes the market much easier to navigate. If you know what sectors are turning, like for example, if the market turns, we're probably going to get a decent bounce here in healthcare. Now, if we listen to the media later, or most media, or chatter or whatever in the social media, they're going to be like, "Oh, healthcare turned because of easing tensions or whatever taxes, subsidies, blah blah blah." But as a trader, to me, it's like this thing is reversing because we got to support, and now we're reversing and we're going higher. It's just the human element, just like we see back in the early 1900s. Anyway, now we could look at this and say this is a sector that looks like it's turning. We can buy this, but we could also go within the sector and look at specific stocks and look for ones that look like they're going to move more than the sector will.
Now, and so that seems like a pretty good top-down approach, right? Start with the sector, see if the sector's at a particular support level, or maybe not even just a support, but an inflection point. And then start looking at some of the components and see what charts also are at inflection points and maybe target those for some of your trades.
Yeah, exactly. You got to let the market tell you what to do. And if you know where the movement is, like for example, tech wasn't really telling us much for a while. Like if we go back to this period right in here, I remember pretty well, but tech really just went sideways there. And here it was all about what was going on with the financials. And this from late December to late January, we weren't really getting any signals from tech. But then when you get something like this, where it jumps out of this sideways range and it gets to resistance, well, here's a potential signal. It's overbought. It's at resistance. Will it break out or will it reverse? And in this case, it reversed. Markets that get overbought, that get to resistance, tend to sell off. Now, people buy back here. So again, this isn't a coincidence that this is where there was resistance. People who bought here regret doing so when the price goes lower. And a lot of them say, well, I'll hold on to my losing position, but if I can ever get out of this thing at break even, I will. So when it gets back up to the level that had been resistance, remorseful buyers placing sell orders can make it become resistance again. Now, sometimes when you get to resistance, you sell off. And why is that? Well, resistance is this large group of sellers. And sometimes some of them get impatient or anxious and they sense other sellers are coming into the market. That's why the price isn't going any higher. And they start to think to themselves, I don't want to miss out on this thing. So I was offering my shares at 149. I'm going to drop that to 148. The next guy's like, that person went to 148. I'm going to go to 147. And you get the snowball effect. And then the opposite is true when you get to support. Some of the buyers start to get anxious and impatient. They can sense the buyers are coming into the market because the price isn't going any lower, and they start to outbid each other. One person might have been bidding 135. Next person goes to 136, and you get a bidding war, and that makes this go higher. Now, with the momentum being overbought here, that's going to draw sellers into the market, and being oversold here is going to draw buyers into the market. So overbought stocks that get to resistance tend to sell off. Oversold stocks that get to support tend to rally. That's two very important principles that seem simple, and I guess it all depends on how you look at it, but really doesn't need to be much more complicated than that when you're looking for trading ideas. Remember, it's a market. It's about supply and demand, and markets that are out of equilibrium will eventually return to equilibrium. What is out of equilibrium? Something that's overbought or oversold, something that's breaking a support level or breaking a resistance level.
Yep.
All right, let's go look at, what are we missing here? Industrials. All right, so yeah, so now right here, like we're not going to get much of a signal. I don't think anything really is going to happen here. This had a huge run here because this is where all the defense stocks are.
Yep.
In the industrial sector. And then we have our consumer staples sector. Yeah, so I don't really see much here. So if I was looking for trading ideas, if I looked at these sectors that are at bottoms, there's ideas. If I look at something that's going sideways,
now, would that change if that sector, that I think that's consumer staples, if that takes out that support area that you have marked out off on the chart, would it change? Would your opinion on that change?
Maybe. I'd have to look a little bit more at that point. But yeah, I mean, if that started to break, that could make me look for certain things.
Okay, so this is more of like, hey, let's wait and see. We actually have other sectors that are ready to go right now. Let's let this one play out.
Yeah, because basically this thing is really neutral. It's been going sideways. It's literally trading at the same price today that it was 5 days ago. And every day in between then, it's been at that price. So it's just been a sideways range here. So assuming there's no big news, I really don't see this making any kind of important or major move in the immediate future. All right, and then we want to look at the smaller sectors. We got our basic materials. This is where gold and silver are. So this tells me that gold and silver reversed. And then, believe it or not, there's the old real estate sector.
Oh man, that looks like maybe a bounce is coming pretty soon, Mark.
Yeah. And this could be an interest rate play, right? It trades inversely to interest rates. Yeah, because this a lot of people buy REITs because they pay high dividend rates. So if the interest rates go down in the bond market, people get drawn into these REITs, and that can be good for that. And then I guess the last thing we want to look at here is our energy sector, which has been going crazy for obvious reasons.
Yep.
And some of these guys like Halliburton and Schlumberger, these guys look pretty interesting in the sense that, whoops, it's not Hindustan Aeronautics we want. Halliburton. Right, so we're getting close to former highs here. So I don't know if I would buy it yet, but if we broke out above that to breaking a resistance level that's been intact for 4 years could be pretty meaningful. And then let's just look at SLB, and then I can take questions if people would like.
Yeah, we've got a couple here that I think might make for some good breakdowns.
Yeah, this could be on the verge of a breakout too here. Okay, so fire away.
All right. First one here is going to be Micron. And I know we've looked at Micron before, but Micron obviously has it's been volatile and it's pulled back from its extreme highs here. I think this makes a really good case study for the chart.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we look at yesterday's trading, let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, see, we got to that support level and then we rallied off of it. So I would be watching right around here, right around 3. Where is it now? It's like right now it's trading like right around here. I know it's hard to see, but I would be looking down around here for some support. If the market goes lower today and this gets down to around here, that's where I would look for a bounce or so.
And that's perfect.
And again, we have a former resistance level.
And
So people sell here, and when the price goes higher, they're like, oh man, if I could buy it back at the same price I sold it, I will. And look here, just like the theme of the day, former bottoms, bottom here and then bottom there. So whether you're a Micron trader in 2026 or whatever they were trading back here, who even knows? Probably railroads, I would assume, were the biggest thing. Tobacco companies.
Yep. And then the other thing here for Micron, just kind of looking at this and the possible setup here, futures are lower this morning and have been under pressure most of the morning. So maybe the market does move down right out of the open. Maybe this holds and gives you a nice setup there. So, okay.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, obviously it's too soon to tell, but I mean, with all this stuff that's going on in the world, I think people aren't going to want to bring much risk home over the weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this sell off over the day and maybe even accelerate as we get closer to the close. But if we get down to around here, 635, that's where we probably get some more trading opportunities on the long side here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you see over here how there was really no trend changes in here. So none of the price levels in this little move up here are really that important. I mean, maybe there was a little bit of congestion right around there, but there were no important levels on the way up. So that means there may not be any important levels on the way down.
That makes sense. I mean, that's all the psychological aspect there.
Yeah.
All right. Next one here is going to be EchoStar, ticker SATS, SATS.
Yeah. Now looking at this, I really don't see much of anything in the trading realm, but there is pretty clear support that you may want to watch. And then up here on the resistance side, there is pretty clear resistance. So as of right now, we're range bound, but the two places I would get interested in buying this would be if we hold the support or if we break the resistance. So it's counterintuitive to human nature. And that's one of the reasons why trading is so difficult. But it makes a lot of sense most of the time to buy something that's on its way up as opposed to buying it on the way down. I guess instinct tells people, hey, this thing is down 20%. It must be a good buy. But anything that's ever been down 90% was at one point down 20%. So if you're looking for a reversal, I think you wait for the reversal kicks into gear. Now, let's just say for whatever reason, the market completely turns around. I mean, when I see something like this, it's like, wow, I gotta pay attention to something like that, because if this was to turn around and this support was to break, we could make a big move right back through these guys. One of the main reasons why we get that support is because we get remorseful sellers trying to buy stuff back. When you blow through the levels really quickly like this, when you gap and stuff, you just don't have a lot of time for there to be this large group or whatever, concentration of sellers who are going to be trying to buy it back on the way down. So if we fall back into these price levels, there's going to be buyers around, but there may not be as many as there typically would be in a market that climbed up like that. So if you gap or move quickly in price levels in one direction, there's a good chance you gap or move quickly back through them in the opposite direction. And you can see that right here. And you can see it right here.
And that's the whole premise of the fair value gap strategy that I'm using for day trading. So, okay. Great stuff there on Sats. Next, I've got Verizon, ticker VZ, big red, as they like to say.
Verizon. Yeah, it's another thing I would watch for. Remember that this is in the Communication Services Center. And we're trading. Yeah, we're trading like this could be a breakout here. We're trading above this resistance. Now, the reason why a breakout is considered to be a bullish thing is because we know that there's a lot of sellers living around this level here, right? If we get above that and we can clear it, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us those sellers are gone. They've left the market. They finished or they canceled their orders. And with supply taken out of the market, remember, it's all about supply and demand. If new demand comes in, they're going to have a hard time finding buyers, and they're going to have to push the price higher to get the sellers back in. So they have this new Home Depot here in Stanford. I tell you, Ryan, I don't know, man. I think this could take on about 3 or 4 Costco's at once. It's like a superstore.
Oh, it's that big?
Dude, it's like unbelievable. I've never seen anything.
Well, let me ask you, Mark, what's different from, regular Home Depots are already pretty huge. What's different? How is it 3 times the size? Do they have appliances that are 3 times the size? I mean, what's going on in that one?
It just has everything. And get this, the people that work there are actually nice. And they say, can I help you? Which is unlike any other Home Depot I've ever been in.
Yeah, I'm, you know what? So you're not the first person that said that. I'm very fortunate because the Home Depots around here, their people are the exact same. Very friendly. How can I help you? We'll answer your questions, all of that. And I'll tell you, if I'm doing a project, especially one I'm doing for the first time, I need that. I absolutely need that. Look, I got one more chart here I'd like to hit, if that's okay.
Yes, indeed.
TSM, which is obviously Taiwan Semiconductor. We'll do this for Anish here today.
All right. What do we got here?
He says it looks like a buy today. So I'd be curious to see what the chart says and see if we can get any agreement there. It does kind of look like it's at a support level.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that we're at support. But again, I don't think I would buy it until it starts to move higher, because this support could break. And then we could just keep going lower. But if we, even from where we are now, if we get down a little bit lower, we're trading around 325, and say this thing reverses up to, like, say 330 or something, that's when I would jump in, trying to buy it on the way up, as opposed to just trying to catch the bottom.
Right. Wait for it to confirm that bounce instead of trying to catch and peg that bounce right at the dead low. That makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want to get run over and catch the old fallen knife, the old Wall Street adage.
Yeah. If you have time, SoFi, SOFI, and then we'll be done here.
Oh, this looks pretty weak. I haven't looked at this in a while. Yeah, now if I was looking for a bottom here, this would be a situation where I would be looking over here at this former little top, which is, yeah. So if the market keeps going lower,
okay,
this is around 1470 or so. That's where I might get interested.
Okay, so this SoFi looks like a wait and see for right now.
Yeah, it's oversold. So in a situation like this, one of the ways you can get a signal, as opposed to just kind of guessing and jumping in, is, all right, this thing is oversold. We're getting close to support. I'll buy it if the RSI line starts to go higher. Because if this line starts to go higher, that would indicate that the selling pressure is subsiding and trading conditions are getting back to normal, which could be the first sign that we're about to flip the other way and go out of equilibrium in the opposite direction, meaning to move higher.
Okay. Mark, really great stuff. When you say confirm, do you mean follow through a day for a buy? I think, are you waiting a whole day? I think basically what he's trying, and Mark, I'll just let you answer instead of trying to do it for you.
It depends on the price action. I mean, if we drop into this thing and then come out of it really strong, well, then one day might be enough to give you insight that the turnaround is there. If it kind of putters along for 3 or 4 days and then starts to reverse, then it'll take 3 or 4 days, right? If it putters along more than that, at that point, I'd probably say, all right, well, this thing doesn't look like it's reversing, so I'm going to go.
Or it's not ready. Yeah, it's not ready to do. Okay, Mark, great stuff as usual. We really appreciate all of your expertise. Folks, sign up for Mark's Substack. A lot of great information there. We're lucky that he joins us on a weekly basis. Mark, I hope your weather's good. Hope you can get some golf swings in.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm teeing off at 5 o'clock in my backyard. So.
Okay, well, that's pretty sweet deal. Mark, we really appreciate it. We'll check in with you next week. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you next week.
All right, folks, that is Mark Putrino. Again, please sign up for his Substack. He does great stuff. Just broke down all of the stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at here. Really, really good. Good question there, too, by the way, on all of that. All right, it's going to be almost time here for 13. Almost time for 13. I do have 2 tweets that I want to go over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's street tweets. All right, this one is awesome. I think, personally, I'm curious to see what you folks think about this. Elon Musk is planning an unprecedented move for retail investors for its SpaceX IPO that we've been talking about. Elon Musk is considering allocating up to 30% of SpaceX's IPO for retail investors, which is far above the typical 5 to 10% allotment. And that's per Reuters. Under this plan, Elon Musk looks to tap loyal fans in the upcoming IPO, which could exceed $1.75 trillion in valuation. The plan includes a hands-on approach to banks, assigning firms specific roles rather than broad compensation. Bank of America is expected to lead U.S. retail distribution alongside firms like Morgan Stanley and UBS. The biggest IPO in history is prioritizing retail. I think this is great. We've talked about IPOs before here on this show where you folks have said, yeah, I filed with my broker for an IPO and they gave me 6 shares. Well, hopefully with a higher allotment for retail, anyone that does file for that IPO allotment is able to get more of those. I understand it's going to be expensive, so we'll see how many shares people end up getting. But in my book, personally, for me, I love this. I absolutely love this. And a side note here, I think Elon could probably make more money if he kept it at the 5 to 10% allotment for retail investors. I think by doing this, he's actually helping out the little guy. Let me know what you think on that. Producer, next tweet. This one also a pretty juicy one. The Kobisi letter again. Are institutions about to rotate back into stocks? We've also talked about seasonality before and how that looks to maybe change here middle of April, which we're approaching. U.S. pension funds are estimated to purchase $13.8 billion in U.S. equities by the quarter end. That is according to Goldman Sachs. This is larger than 97% of all monthly purchases over the last 3 years and 93% since January of 2000. By comparison, pension funds have sold an average of $1.8 billion per month since 2000, with the all-time high purchase being $80.6 billion during the 2020 pandemic. This comes as U.S. pension funds are set to rebalance from bonds to equities to maintain target allocations after the recent decline in stocks. As a consequence, an equivalent amount of bonds will be sold to fund the purchases. And here's the takeaway. Equities are set for large inflows. All right. Let me know what you think. I mean, just again, being selfish and thinking about what I would want the most here, give us that capitulatory move down towards 620-ish wherever we settle, and then give us this rotation backed by funds, U.S. pension funds. That would be something else. All right, folks, let's go and get you all prepared for the open here. It is time for our pre-market pulse. All right, 13. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Looking forward to the weekend.
Oh,
you another week,
both, brother. You and me both.
How's everybody doing this morning?
I think everyone's doing good. There seems to be a lot of positive vibes out there, and that's in the face of red futures here ahead of the open. I really think Friday, fun day, whatever is kind of taking off here. And we got a lot of positivity here today, and I look to keep that rolling. Glad to see you.
Let's do it.
All right. Movers, any individual stocks? Call the ball, buddy.
I saw some folks wanting to talk about ARTL. Let's talk about ARTL.
All right. Now, is that a mover? Forgive me for not being prepared. Perfect. Here we go. Starting with the news here. ARTL, by the way, Artello Biosciences. Artello Biosciences shares are trading higher after the company announced the withdrawal of its SEC registration statement, as it doesn't intend to sell securities this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that looks pretty good here. Here's what the chart looks like. Market loves it. Market loves it. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is our big ripper of the day here today, well, without a doubt. Quick peek at the short interest after looking at that move. 5.29% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. There's some there, but I don't really think it matters all that much. I have a float reading here of 735,000. So this is absolutely a micro float. And on average, this thing trades 1.29 million shares per day. All right, 13. What do you think here on ARTL? What a move.
We've traded this one recently, I believe. This was also going through NASDAQ recompliance. That's why we had a
Wednesday, March 18th.
What?
Was that when we were trading it?
Oh, probably.
Yep, I think it is. I asked you a question that I know.
Okay. But yeah, so this one, is going through NASDAQ compliance. They did a reverse split earlier this month. There was a 1 for 3. That's why we have the low float. And the next thing that they needed to do was, raise capital because they still need cash. And now they've withdrawn that. Why? Why would a company that needs cash in order to stay in operation withdraw their, registration form in order to raise more capital? They have a 25 million equity line that they can use to raise cash. So why would they do that? I don't know, but I'm wondering if there is another way that they are going to be getting capital, maybe through a partnership or through some kind of an acquisition where a company acquires them. So I don't want to speculate too much further than that. But when a company that needs capital is saying, no, we're good, we're not going to raise shares, start to wonder why. And being that they are, making some breakthrough developments in the glaucoma market, I briefly started looking around to see if I could find any larger pharma names that might be interested in that. I didn't, have anything turn up because I didn't have the time, but that's kind of where my head's at right now with this, is that this one may be an acquisition target at some point if they're going to not raise cash. I just don't know why they're not doing it. There's probably something else coming that we don't have information on yet. Maybe somebody out there knows. You think it's a buyout? It would make sense to me, wouldn't it? Thinking about it.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. It would make sense to me. I don't know for a fact that that's what's happening, but I do know for a fact that they need cash. They don't have it. They're not raising it. So what's happening next? Now, we already did get some pretty nice moves here this morning. It looks like it wants to close one of these 5-minute candles above 9. We've certainly printed above that all the way up to 940. Haven't been able to get to where I think bigger resistance is, around 980 and then 11 afterwards. But if we do hold above this VWAP that we're trading above right now, that would be my next two upside targets, 980 and 11. Momentum looks like it's really started to slow down. I'm seeing volume kind of, fade a little bit here. So really need to see that volume return as we approach the open and hold above VWAP. Because if we lose VWAP and we try to recapture that with the volume we have now, I'm a little less confident that we're going to be able to do so. So that's where I'm at with ARTL. Got to hold that VWAP if we're going to see further upside.
Okay, VWAP 782 there. Okay, really good stuff on ARTL. Let's see. Mark this down. Put this in your notes. We talked about this. Maybe a potential buyout target Friday, March 27th. If we get this on, middle of April and this thing's bought out, I think that's due for a victory lap. So just mark it down, throw it in your notes. We'll see how this one shakes out here. Really good stuff on that.
You got it.
Okay, next here is going to be ONCO. That's your ticker. This is on Contix. Now, really, so this has actually also had a pretty good move. Here's moved up towards 7. This had a Form 8, and that Form 8 was outlining a 1 for 5 reverse split with its new float being 692,000 shares. So we got a micro float stock now here. You can see this thing moved from split adjusted here, obviously 3 to 7, came back in. We actually did get a pretty nice move off the 65 EMA already today. That actually ripped through VWAP. As mentioned here, let me actually redraw it on this chart. I should have done that already. I'm sorry. I was a little bit pressed for time here this morning. But as mentioned, and I didn't trade this because I generally don't trade pre-market. I'm just busy doing other things. But check this out. We look at the fair value gap. Look at the fair value gap. We came into it. We also aligned with that 65 EMA. This ripped back through the VWAP. We actually back tested the range of the gap here, and we're at VWAP now. So I'm curious to see how this resolves. I know Brent was trading this earlier. Grats to anyone else that might have hit this, but I would not be shocked if we have another trade forming up here, especially with that low float. Quick peek at the short interest. This is going to be off a little bit because of the adjustment here. I would think that, looking at this, it's probably closer to 15, 16%. If I'm just doing some napkin math by looking at the float and then the percent of float shorted here, just kind of estimating. We have not got a new print since the reverse split took place. So I'm going to estimate there 16, 17% of the float shorted, 1 day to cover. There's some in there. I don't know how much it's going to actually come into play here. On average, stock trades 77,000 shares. Today, it's done 10.3 million. And as mentioned, that float just under 700K now. 13, what do you think here on ONCO?
I'm not convinced that the news here, where it's moving, is off of the reverse split. The reverse split happened on the 25th, so 2 days ago. And since then, on that actual same day, they had some news that I think is actually driving this higher. We did get some volume that was a little elevated, so I think we could be seeing a little bit of relative volume. But I think this news we got on Wednesday was the big driver that we're seeing here, because what they did is, you remember the whole 6G list of names that I gave?
Oh yeah,
one of those is Ericsson, and on the 25th on March, this company Onyx, what is this called?
On Context.
On Context. This company pointed to this demonstration with a robot that's was purchased by Ericsson, that was made by Realbotics Corp. And Realbotics is the company that's being acquired by On Context. And the On Context specifically pointed to this demonstration because Ericsson is featuring this pre-standard 6G over-the-air trial conducted with this robot. It happened here in not here in Plano. I'm not in Plano, but it happened here in Texas. This is they wanted to highlight the capabilities of Realbotics because they are acquiring them. So I think that's the real big news here, is that this is this company has acquired a company that is working in humanoid robots with Ericsson using 6G. This is something that I think we should be keeping a close eye on. The company does have cash, but they have very little revenue, and they did do a 1-for-5, like I already mentioned earlier, the reverse split. So now they have 714,000 shares in the float, resulting in that really wild size short interest. So that's what I think is really driving this higher. Yes, the reverse split absolutely helps makes this easier to move around, but the news with the acquisition, I think, is the bigger piece of news here right now.
All right, so we get that little delayed reaction then. We've seen that before on some of these pieces of news as well. Cool.
Yeah, and we did get some movement on that news, but I think it was a little bit more muted than it was today. I think we're seeing a little bit more relative volume, and now it's gonna. And there was also it was also halted too when this news and the reverse split happened. So I don't think we saw a whole lot of pre-market movement that day. Anyway, right now the stock has recaptured its VWAP. I'm looking for this thing to come back up towards 585. That's appears to be the big resistance area this morning. So if we can hold above this VWAP here as we approach the open, it looks like we could take out 585. And if we do climb higher than that, because it looks like we're setting up a bit of a triangle pattern here, we break out of the symmetrical triangle, retake 585. I'd be looking at 660 as the next possible upside target, maybe 7 after that.
Okay, cool. That gives us some targets to go after. We might have some movers on our hands. Really good stuff there. 13, really good. All right, next here is going to be VSA. This is Vision Sys AI. Help remind me, wasn't somebody on this yesterday? I know that this took a little bit before it started to move out of the open, but I could have sworn that even before we signed off, someone was mentioning this yesterday, and I can't quite place it. So I'm sorry about that. So, go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe. I when I was looking at this morning, I noticed that it had some large, like substantial volume yesterday. I didn't see any news though, so I didn't.
Me either.
I didn't spend any time reading through the Form 6s, which I'm sure is going to have the information in there that we're looking for. But today, I think what is happening is we're just seeing a reaction from the strong relative volume that we had the day before. This company has 39 million shares in the float. It is a absolute cash destroyer. So I would be, I think I'd be a little careful with, getting too comfortable with this company. If it provides a trade, great, and get in, get out, be done with it. But just looking at their capital position, it's not great. Let me just pull this up here. They lost almost $500 million last quarter. They lost over $1 billion. The report before. I think they report 2 times a year, so they're losing quite a bit of money. They used to make over $2.5 billion when they reported. That's been cut down to under $750 billion. So, or $760 million. I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't know how great this one's going to be. It had relative volume from yesterday. I see there's 230 resistance. So if it manages to get through that, we can explore further upside after that. But for now, just play it how you want. It looks like it's trying to get back over 2. And if it does, maybe we see that 230 resistance again.
Here's your weekend project. Get AI, Nano Banana, Grok, whatever your favorite one is, to take Joe's idea and make a new comic book. The Short Reporter takes on the Cash Destroyer. It's not a bad idea there, Joe. Not a bad idea. AI can help us out with that. Okay.
You got to have POW and Wham and all those big.
Yeah, like the old Batman from the 50s. Yeah, that's exactly. That's good stuff there. Good stuff there. Okay. All right, next here, this is GCTK. I know we've traded this before. This is GlucoTrack. GlucoTrack shares are trading higher after the company announced it will submit an investigational device exemption to the FDA for its novel continuous blood glucose monitoring technology, with a goal to file requisite documents with the FDA in Q2 of this year. So we're getting good FDA news here. That's moving this stack from about 110 up to the 150 resistance. This actually looks like a pretty good pre-market formation and a nice impulse move. We had a test of that move higher as we regressed and retraced a lot of that. Then we ripped back through the VWAP. Then we used the VWAP as support, and we tried to go higher here. The immediate first resistance that I see on this is 146. We'll see how that shakes out here. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 4.79% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. So there's some, but not a whole lot. On average, it trades 335,000 shares. Not sure why I don't have a volume reading here today. The float is under 1 million. So 13, tell me what you think here on this one. I'm going to go ahead and try to refresh Pro and see if I get some of those data points back.
This might be one of those low float movers that we see it move, and it has some cash. I think this would be okay to not raise capital for at least a quarter, but getting into that next quarter is going to, you're going to see the penny pinching happen. So I think there could be a capital raise coming later on. I don't know if they're going to do it today, but they their cash position is starting to look concerning. Not worried about it at the moment. I'm not really convinced that they would do a raise right now, though it's something you certainly don't want to take off the table. As far as the chart, this looks like it has a hard time with 150.
Yeah,
that's kind of been the area that's been getting rejected at 145, 150 this morning. I would need to see some much better volume than this right now if we're going to retake that. There's a large seller in the way at 149, but if that volume appears and we start getting more move through that 149 seller and look to take out 150, then the trade might be back on. But it's looking like it's losing some volume as we approach the open. this might be one to just wait and see what it does after we open.
Okay. All right. GCTK. How many times am I going to screw the ticker up today, folks? I don't know. Word of warning early on that. Okay. Do you have anything else that you covered that I should go to here?
No, the list wasn't very good that this morning. We had that ARTL, which is over 100%, and then we had a couple of 60 plus percenters. And after that, they just really drop off down in the 40s, 30s, and 20s.
Yeah, ADMA. This is ADMA Biologics. The shares are higher here after the company issued a response to the short seller from Culper Research to refute key allegations and alleviate confusion in the marketplace. So this is a short seller spat. They've replied. They're doing their thing here. That's what's driving this one. We did add 2 requests here for stocks that look like movers. So let me go to those, make sure we hit what the chat wants to see. Oh, where was that? OPTT. Thank you for thinking about it. Looked like there was. I know this
Ocean Power?
Yeah, I know this is a penny stock, but this is one that we've been talking about recently, and it appears based on what Thinking About is saying here. Yeah, indeed. Fresh news here today. Ocean Power Technologies receives a contract for WAM-V from an undisclosed Nordic client. So no numbers in PRs. This is a common thing for some small caps. We see it all over the place. Stocks holding higher here by 3%. Notably, this stock did spike, easy for me to say, right back to the top end of the consolidation area, but it pulled off that area. I know we're only talking pennies here. It's 36 cents versus 38 cent. 13, do you have anything on this little thing?
So the WAM-V, that I believe that should be they make buoys. I don't know if that's what those are, but I think these are.
You said buoys, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me. I think it's like it might be like some kind of underwater drone. The thing that I've been on with this company is their buoys that are they use the waves, the ocean waves to generate power, and it detects things like submarines, drones, mines. So I was really getting excited about their presence in the Middle East. The Nordic makes sense to me too, since it's a highly traversed waterway. So I think that we're going to see a lot more attention on this company because they're in that whole theme of security and drones. So yeah, it's unfortunate we don't have numbers attached to this, but it's probably not going to do a whole lot until we get some numbers. But there's some news about the power buoy system. That's what I was referring to about them. They've got a contract with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, so DHS. As soon as we get funding for that, we should see some more movement with this stock as well, since they have a contract with the Coast Guard.
Okay, good stuff. Robert here, or excuse me, Robert, I beg your pardon. Richard wanted to take a look at SCO, obviously with the move in oil. We've actually talked about SCO quite a bit. Well, we've actually talked about SOC, but SCO has been one of our trading vehicles here. Richard, obviously you're just going to watch oil here. This is the ultra short Bloomberg crude. So you're thinking if we get a pullback in oil, this actually might make for a decent trade here today. I would just say, I guess, are there any levels here that really kind of stand out? To me, it sure seems like we're at a support here. This 770, maybe 750. Yeah, I would say 750 is probably our support level here. Let's see if we can get back above 9. I don't know what oil's going to do today, but this would be, if it starts to pull back, this would be a way to trade it there. You're mentioning this being at a historical low. Again, that to me, I wouldn't really factor into the calculus. You do you, but I would just kind of be watching oil here in general. Any thoughts on this one, 13?
It looks like it's trying to find some kind of a bottom. Might just continue sideways. I'm not going to make any predictions about what's going to happen with the oil markets today. It could be another volatile day. But thank you thinking about it for telling us what WAM-V is, the unmanned surface vehicle. Okay, so that's helpful. Appreciate it.
Okay, and then Dave here. Let me make sure I got that right there. Dave looking for RCKT, which is Rocket Pharmaceuticals, not the mortgage company. And it actually has a catalyst here. Here's what the chart looks like. Looks like in the after hours yesterday, we spiked up to about 587. We've retraced a lot of that, but we're still holding higher here by just shy of 7%. Rocket Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher after the company announced an FDA accelerated approval for Kresladi for the treatment of pediatric patients with severe leukocyte adhesion deficiency. I'm not even sure what that is. It's an ultra rare, life-threatening pediatric genetic immunodeficiency. That sounds awful. I hope that this helps with that. That sounds really, really terrible. Looking at the chart here, we've really kind of bounced off of $4 or thereabouts. We got a good positive catalyst here. Stock's up 6.6% here in the pre-market. Looking at the short interest, it's high. It is 26.2% of the float shorted with 4.31 days to cover. So if this really starts to take off, maybe you get some squeeze action in there. On average, it trades 2.7 million shares. We've done 3.38 already prior to the open, and that's versus a float of 56 million. 13, do you have anything here on RCKT? I'm going to do my absolute best to not butcher the ticker, bro, and viewers. So I'm gonna do my best. What do you got here? And I'm going to step away and be right back if that's all right.
Yeah, it's great that it's getting FDA approval. Haven't looked at this one, but every time that I see ultra rare, to me, immediately the first thought that I get is that this is not going to have a very big addressable market. So that's just kind of where my head's at. And, I hope that everybody's, gets the healthcare that they need. And it's great that we're developing these things, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of money in ultra rare diseases. Maybe there's a price tag attached to that makes it worthwhile. But, when I see that one phrase there, it's like, okay, well, there might be some limit to how well this goes. Now, looking at the chart here, we did climb back over the 20-day SMA, and we're approaching some of the highs in the $5 area, like the low $5 area. But if we manage to get through that, we're back into a gap fill from 2025, May of 2025, when we were up above 6, and we absolutely dropped right down to about 230 the following day, or that might have been looks like that was over the weekend kind of thing. So if we do end up coming up that high, that would be the next thing we can look at, is that we're going to be gap filling. It looks like that could start at about 545. It's just encouraging that we have we're going to be opening above the look at ONCO go now, that we're above the 20-day SMA. If we start to look weak after the open, I'd be looking at that 20-day SMA as support. That's going to be down around 470. And he's not back yet, but that's okay. We can take a look at the wild move.
I am back. Really quickly, let me just share a frustration with you here real quickly. Okay. These in-ear earbuds, they're excellent. They're great quality, and they really do make the stream look better than those bulky things that I have.
Oh, like these?
But they are not easy to get in there. And I've been back here fumbling, trying to get it set up there, and I don't want people. And I'm like, and then I hear you say it. I'm like, no, I'm ready. So just a little pull behind the curtain there on what's going on. I love them, but I'm still getting this figured out. Okay, we're less than 2 minutes. What do you want to do next?
Well, we were just going over RCKT, and ONCO decided, hey, look at me, and it ripped up to $6.
Okay. So that stock has been giving us trades in the morning here, and it looks like it's no shortage of trades again.
Yep, I got a trade out of this, so that was good.
Well done.
I actually, I don't know. I think maybe Big Hurt was also had the same idea, but as it was approaching the 65 EMA, I took a position, and then we turned around because we were bottoming, and we turned around, recaptured view up, and I thought, okay, this might be on now. And we've broken out of the sideways triangle. We're trying to get above 6, and if we do, get above, because we were trying to get above this. What was this level I have marked up, like that 585 level? So we did get above that. Not able to hold above it at the moment, but if we do after we open, then I'd be, like I said earlier, be looking at that 660, 665 area.
Okay, good stuff on the trade there.
Oh, thank you.
Really, really good stuff there. Gave you a register ring. So.
Yeah. Just be careful with this after we open. We have less than a minute. With this move, we could get initial pull, and then maybe it breaks back through this this $5.85, $6 area. So just be careful with this movement we just got here. I'm not sure we're going to get the first moments out of the gate. And you just got a big pop?
Yeah, I don't know about big pop, but it is coming back here, and it looks like it's doing so on some pretty decent volume here for the pre-market. And remember, we actually just talked with Mark about this, by the way, and it went down to 346 in the pre-market. That was about where we were at. Let me refresh this here real fast.
Oh, yeah, this thing went all the way down to 350. And we're open.
We are open. Let's go. God, I'm excited for this Friday. I'll tell you what.
All right, let's look at these movers. ARTL, it's above VWAP, but kind of leaning toward it to the downside, just not very quickly. So hopefully that holds up. ONCO, so this one decided, yeah, I'm just going to keep on going up. So looking for 660, 665 is the next resistance area. Looks like we've got a little resistance early in the pre-market from 625, but I expect we'll try and push through that. See here, ARTL. So now it's losing VWAP. GCTK, that's also losing its VWAP. You know, what was interesting, and it's moving today, was Kodak. We were talking about this in the happy hour yesterday.
Sure were.
And there's actually some very interesting news with Kodak that makes it a battery play. Now, I think somebody a while back had mentioned that Kodak is coming on as a battery play because of their partnership with, well, let me get the company here, Atio Systems. They're making a PFAS-free manufacturing platform that is going to see higher, more efficient electrodes, reduced production costs, and more efficiency. So basically, they're making better batteries at literally fractions of the cost. So Kodak is going to be a battery play here, and I'm going to keep my eye on it. But something really interesting.
I didn't want to interrupt you because you were rolling, and that is very interesting. But ONCO, nice little pop right there out of the open. If anyone that was on that one, really good stuff. Hopefully, you're able to take some gains. SPY first move down here to the pre-market lows and crack 640 now on the SPY. We'll see where this thing firms up if it does. X Sniper asking, are you guys able to see opening price after a halt off the level 2? So no. I am able to see in some cases where there are some orders, but it doesn't feel complete, and it's not always indicative of where the stock's actually going to open, X Sniper. So I don't have that. I know 13 sometimes sees things that are a little bit differently than me, so it might vary from broker to broker, but I don't have a general read on that. ARTL halted.
Yeah, halt to the upside. So is ONCO. This
halt
is
to the downside.
Yeah, and they went right to the area we had marked off as resistance. We were looking at 665, 660. This actually got as high as 672 and then immediately pulled. So there's your resistance. We're still above VWAP. No position. Just we're waiting to see what this does out of the open here. If it loses VWAP, just going to be patient. Wait, maybe you get some support around the 65 EMA.
And we owe a register ring here because our Netflix aficionado for the morning, Izzy, scalping Netflix here. Remember, the news on Netflix is that they're hiking their subscription prices again by about $1 across the varying products. They also had a slew of upgrades here this morning, or price target adjustments here this morning. So Netflix traded up in the pre-market, up right out of the open. Izzy, we tap 100. What do you think? Tell me what your gut tells you on this. 100? Let me know.
I've been saying this for a long time. Netflix has a content problem.
I cited you this morning. You would have been so proud of me. Go back and watch the news segment. I even gave you props on that.
Oh, appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, okay, so they don't have a lot of content, but they're going to raise their price. I don't know that I necessarily want to pay higher prices.
And you know what they cited about raising their price?
What?
To pay for more content.
Right, exactly. This is the problem I've been saying they've been having. This is why I thought they needed to get that Warner Brothers deal. This is
interesting.
This is exactly the issue that I had with this. They need content. They do not have it. They have to buy it. They do not make good content. I mean, that's just the name of the game for this. So no, I do not like Netflix. I think they've got a little bit of a difficult road ahead. they saved all this money by not buying Warner Brothers, but they're going to raise their prices. Okay, there's something wrong here. It's their content. They don't have enough of it. I'm not a subscriber.
Okay. There you go. Hey, I ask to get what people think, and I am glad that you give it to us. That is awesome. All right. Cam says, I agree, 13, 100%. 100%.
And that's fine if you don't agree. I mean, I know that there's some folks that love Netflix, and they're actually, in a much better financial position than P-Sky and WBD. They just don't have the content, and that's going to be the problem because content is king.
Yep. GCTK might be trying to push higher. Let's see if it breaks above this. Actually, let me add this little bit of a trend line here. That might give us a bit of a target. Oh,
I think you're going to break that. I think you're going to get that broken right about now.
I think you are too. I did not mean to click on that. Bob says he's selling his house to buy Netflix. Not advisable, and also not financial advice. Oh, look at that. GCTK stopping right at the trend line here. Market continuing to pull 640. We'll see if 640 holds. We're at 640.20. We'll see if that breaks down. Looking across the board here, Bitcoin at the lows, VIX at the highs. We're above 30 again, by the way. Palantir tried to pop a little bit, rolled over. Amazon flushed. Izzy, let me know if there's an Amazon buy, what you think about that. Apple had a little bit of a pop that pulled back. Also, Chicago Realtor asking about NVIDIA here. Thoughts on NVIDIA here. So we were actually talking about that recently, right? This is definitely a support area, but I got to be honest with you. I do not think 165 is out of the question. And in fact, I believe that when I was polling folks last night, 13, was it last night or the day before? I think it was last night. When I was polling people last night, we kind of talked about maybe 165 being that next key level here. So let's see on NVIDIA. I personally, Chicago Realtor, I think you can probably wait this one out for 165. Just my 2 cents there. Easy for me to say, don't have a position on it.
Yeah, the levels I had, I think we talked about this, not yesterday, but the day before, because we were looking at a rejection of the 200. 171 was one of the levels we looked at. That we went right down to that, and we ended up closing, I think, at 171.04. That support didn't hold. We're beneath it now. 168 is the next level I have, and then as you said, 165. Should none of those hold, I think we could come down to 153.
Okay. Really good. VSA, look at this move on VSA. Wow, that right above the pre-market high. Let me turn VWAP back on here. Looks like a push away from VWAP.
Yeah, the cash destroyer is ripping right now.
Ondas pulled back. I will say yesterday I did add some Ondas 18 calls for September. So I bought those as nibbled in small size on the pullback yesterday. May add to that today. We'll see.
VSA is trying to get some support from the pre-market highs. It just lost it. Now it's down at VWAP. ONCO is open and lower, and now it's going to halt down near the 65 EMA. We also have GC. No, I'm sorry, that wasn't the one we were looking at. GCTK is still trying to break out of that trend line. ARTL is the one we're waiting for to halt. So that should unhalt here pretty soon, since it halted shortly after ONCO did the first time.
Take a look at this. I just noticed this right now. Perhaps you already saw this, but I just noticed this right now. I basically connected these two highs from the pre-market. Look where we stopped off the opening print.
Oh, that gives even more weight to the 665 area.
Yeah, and we're going to give a one up. Everyone that was looking to take gains on this early, that was clearly the right strategy here. Congrats to you. Hopefully you were able to book. That is awesome. Kathy wants to take a look at NAVN, N-A-V-N. This is Navant. Someone mentioned this yesterday, right? We had that nice little pop, pull back to the VWAP, and then the ramp in the afternoon on some pretty decent volume. Today, we're above the intraday and after hours high. I think if this holds this 1380, 1375 area, probably can try higher here. And that's against the backdrop of a very weak market.
Go to a daily chart with that.
Done?
I think you'll see it.
Yep, I think I see it too. Right here to here to here. How about that, 13?
Yeah, so we've broken out of this trend line, and now we need to start closing above it and hold above it.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about do we need to close above it? That's perfect.
We do. I think you're looking at resistance around, on this chart, it looks like it's going to be around 1550. So that's kind of what I'd go with for now. Maybe there's some at 16, but just from where we're at right now, it looks like 1550 is the really big level.
Okay. Okay. MU fighting like a dog. Take a look here at MU. All right. So look at that. That's off that 345 level. MU up here 363 now. Thinking 367 next, maybe. Reggie saying that NVIDIA bounced. I think this is going to come down to that 170 level, right? We're kind of right at that support. Let's see. It's early. It could still break here.
Yeah, and Micron could have a bounce. I don't know that we're going to go a whole lot higher than 400 if we even get up there, but that's the resistance I'm seeing.
Okay.
NVIDIA bounce, broke up. EchoStar Corporation is up 2%.
That's SATs, right? And we asked Mark about that this morning.
Let me look at that space watch list, see how that's looking this morning here. So a lot of red, which, expected. It's interesting because VSAT's the one that's up the most on this watch list, followed by, so SATs is the second highest one here. VSAT is the one I have the highest. So VSAT, which is VSAT and SATS, and it also looks like SATL just joined the party as well. They're all up over 2%.
Okay, the market looks like it's trying to bounce, but it is within this first 15 minutes, so I'm kind of waiting that out. Just kind of going back to our discussion about maybe waiting for some things to confirm here a little bit. Going to do that.
You got your breakout of GCTK, looking at like resistance at the 160 area. Well done. Yeah, and ARTL is taking forever, Big Hurt. I just noticed that. I was like, it should have opened by now. Yeah, I just click there, and I just go calendar chart real fast, and it kind of resolves, or it should anyway.
Hopefully.
Anyway, VSA after hitting that 262, still struggling to get back up there, but it hasn't lost its VWAP yet. So there may be another upside move coming here if volume expands. GCTK looking to take out, okay, it just did. It took out the pre-market highs. Now I kind of want to draw a trend line from these pre-market highs to see if it gives us a target to reach for. And with that, it looks like we could see maybe the 225 area. That's pretty steep. No guarantee that it gets up there, but it's just something to shoot for if we get the volume. Uh-oh. What's going on there?
I don't know. I am asking, I'm reporting. I don't have any reports of the charts not working, so I wonder if this is just a me thing. Yours seem to be working. I can't resolve.
Mine's not.
Yours not? Okay,
Nope.
Well, reported.
All right, ARTL finally open and higher, and looks like it's going to go into an upside halt again. 991. Big Hurt, did you take that? All right. Love it. That's great too, because this opened in the regular session. It dropped beneath VWAP and said nah, and it just went up ever since. Halted into a gap up into another halt. That is a very bullish looking candle. I would not be surprised if this unhalted and did some higher prints, but I don't know if it's going to hold up there. Okay, charts are back now. Tell those guys to stop messing with us.
I've noticed that this happens like occasionally right around the open, and it seems to come back on its own. But I'm gathering as much details as I can to try and figure that out. Glad they're back. This popped. Congrats to anyone that was in ARTL. I told you early on Friday was going to be fun. We're starting it, even with the red arrows. We're having fun out here. Absolutely love it. Love the energy from the chat too.
They're doing great.
They sure are. It's been a breath of fresh air. There's no question.
All right, I will jump on APLD and give you some information on what I see there.
Okay, let me pull that up here.
We were looking at this one yesterday too, I believe. I think for me, the thing I'm watching for is what happens around $24, like 24 even, because that's where the 200-day SMA is. We haven't traded beneath this 200-day SMA since May 30th of last year. So I think if our first initial touch of this could see buyers step in, but not going to say that this won't hold. This is going to hold up. I don't know that it will. I think you have a better support a little bit lower in the 20s, around 22.75, maybe I would say, maybe 22 even. So to me, it looks like it's still not done potentially with the selling, having a really hard time staying above the 20-day SMA. So I would think that 24 is going to be an area of support. I just don't know if it's going to hold up or not. It looks like it could still test some lower prints beneath the 200-day SMA.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. APLD. CONCO. This is open now. Flirting with 5 beneath the VWAP.
And it's getting support from that 65 EMA. If we turn around from here, let's go. If we turn around there, it'd be great. And then GP 38 Super is mentioning that Mo is rocking some profits this morning. Congrats on that. And he's also looking at Pfizer. What's going on with Pfizer today? Hasn't really been great since COVID, and we had some really big downturn in 2023. But it looks like we're starting to recover at a pretty interesting area. So it looks like to me like 28's been a bit of a tough spot for the stock this year. So I think that would be the big breakout resistance area I'd be keeping an eye on. If we can get over 28 and hold above that, then I think that 30 looks pretty doable in the future.
Okay, bounce here in the SPY. So we're getting one. Let's see if this can really kind of continue. I do have this through the VWAP. And I have the tick chart still negative, but trying to go red-green. So maybe we do get some buying after this little bottoming out here in the pre-market. We'll see. Suprick wants to take a look at BORR. This is not the first time someone's brought this up here today. I'm sorry we didn't get to it earlier. Let's do it now. Bore drilling. This is higher here out of the open. This is higher than yesterday. A nice little actually dip and rip here on BORR. Let me see if there was news on this. Nope. Annual report of Form 20. It's just up by 2.7%. Were you looking for levels? Is this market? I'm a bit scared to go long, but this looks bullish to me.
This company is buying more of these jackup rigs. They have they apparently have 16. I don't know if that includes the 5 that they're looking to buy. That was announced earlier this week.
And so I'm looking at this daily chart here, Suprick, and I can't help but think back to Mark Putrino, whom we just talked to earlier this morning, and was saying, when you get some of these that come up to levels like this, maybe wait for it to confirm, right? Like this sure looks like it's going to break out, but I think you might be okay waiting for that to happen.
But you also have news yesterday about two different directors buying a lot of this. I wonder if that's giving this.
Yeah, I think you're right. Those are open market buys.
Yeah. The company has a good amount of revenue. It seems like it teeters between, net income and net losses, but still has a good amount of income, good amount of cash. I don't have any concerns about this, needing capital. It seems like it has plenty.
And Jeff Curry was one of those insiders. That's the same guy that's on CNBC, right? The oil guy?
So
I think so.
For me, I'm looking at a daily chart of this, and that is just a lot of sideways consolidation from 2023 to the middle of 2024. And we're trying to still get through that. We came up to this in February, where it was rejected to beneath the 50-day SMA, but we've recaptured all that. And now we're trying to get back through this consolidation again. So I don't know how quickly they're going to do that. What's the float on this thing? 242 million. That's a lot to chew through. It might take some time to get through that if we are going up, but it looks like to me eight's going to be your next resistance area. Maybe somewhere in this consolidation is going to be resistance. I totally expect that. But the upside levels I have from here would be 8, 9, That's a really big one, actually. And then, not really sure how this is going to trade once it gets past that, because then we're recapturing some levels from when this thing had a massive fall in 2020. Okay. So that's about all I've really got with Bohr. It looks like it could be really good. It's not overbought yet, but that consolidation from 2023 into 2024, that would be my concern of how long it's going to take to get through. And there's a lot of shares with that size of that float. So that would be my only concern. Otherwise, I'd be keeping an eye on getting up to 8.
Okay. Remak Shediko, I'm going to call you Remak. Good morning. Why are all of the cybersecurity names getting hit? I did see that, actually. Saw PanW got hit here in the pre-market. Here's what the PanW intraday chart looks like, down 7.25%. Cybersecurity stocks slide following Anthropic's Claude Mythos data leak.
Uh-oh.
Yep, Anthropic reportedly left nearly 3,000 assets accessible via its content management system. According to Fortune, cybersecurity researcher Alexander Parels discovered the unsecured data cache. The files included draft blog post, images, and research papers.
Wow. That's, I guess the Pentagon dodged a bullet there.
Oh, wow. The exposed oh my God, the Pentagon angle. Oh man. Okay. One thing at a time. The exposed documents reportedly contain information on a new AI model. Anthropic described this model in internal drafts as a step change in capabilities.
Uh-oh.
Wow. There you go.
Yep.
There's your reason for the cybersecurity firms moving lower.
VSA, keep an eye on this. If we get an expansion volume, we're pushing through these areas of resistance from 230 to 240. There's some sellers in the way. We just need the volume to take them out. ONCO was getting mentioned here. This lost 65 EMA. Looks like it's headed towards the 200 EMA now. Meanwhile, GCTK continues to put in new session highs, climbing up towards that 225. Still don't know if we're going to get there, but this is some very welcome movement that we're getting from the stock. If it starts to weaken here, we're going to want to see this hold above VWAP and the 145, 150 area. What
a crack of that trend line that sent this thing.
That was a really, really great draw.
Yes, sir.
So VSA still trying to push through. ONCO lower. ARTL still halted from that very bullish looking candle that took us up to 991.
This is more good insight. Hippo Hero Zero, that leak was attributed to human error, not an algorithm error, for whatever that's worth.
Probably even worse. That's probably even worse. Now, I only say that because look at all the fallout that happened from the human error with, was it CrowdStrike? Remember with that whole...
the update that crashed all the terminals. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that was...
airline flights. Yep. Absolutely.
So sometimes human error can be even worse.
Now, I will say, after that happened, that actually did recover shortly after that.
So, ARTL's open and higher. Holy cow. I think this is the one I'd be selling out of and saying thank you very much. Have a nice day. I'm not in this. I don't have a...
Neither am I.
But this is the third halt gap up, or the third halt and a gap up, because we halted once. Halted a second time. Now we're halting again.
Halted at 1172.
I get the sense that once we open, we could see maybe there's going to be like a pop that gets us a higher print, but I would think that there's going to be some big selling coming. So congratulations, everybody that traded this and got some money off of it. I think you nailed it. It doesn't matter if you sold in the first halt, second halt, or even the third one. I think you nailed this either way. This is a great one.
Money in the pocket is better than money on the floor. Amen, brother. Amen to that. All right, now we're sorry, 13. We're starting to see some firm ups here. I know I just took PanW off the screen, and I guess I can put it back on because this stock is halted now. PanW looks like maybe it's done or trying here. Ondas actually tried to bounce, but this was just smacked right back down to its lows. Netflix looks like it's trying to turn around. Apple has kind of already turned around. And Tesla, which was mentioned earlier here as being weak, not turning around. So Tesla's still at the lows. CW Parker mentioning NavN that Kathy was talking about earlier. Let's take a look at that. Did that continue? Indeed, it actually bounced off of that trend line there and looks like it's trying to resume higher. 14s now, NAVN.
Big pull in GCTK after hitting 167, right back down to VWAP. ONCO is at the 200 EMA, so we did end up getting that print. Found support at 4. We'll see if it can turn around here. There's still about 65 cents left in the entire move it gave in the pre-market here when we first got the move. So, but I think we're down into the fair value area, are we not, with ONCO?
Let me take a look here. Sorry, I was looking at something else for a chatter here, but let me go back. We are, but we're at the bottom end of that. So, well, here, let me actually just draw it here. So again, this started down here and finished right about here. So, okay, so the fair value doesn't mean as much. Remember, this is no longer unmitigated. We came into this in the pre-market. It gave us a nice little run up. Now we're kind of retesting this area. To me, this would be a nothing burger, if you will. I am interested to see if it holds the 200 EMA, which it looks like it's trying to do so far. But as far as we are in the area, yes, 13. To answer your question directly, we are. I just wouldn't take too much from that. That's all.
Okay. VSA, after we came down to VWAP, slightly traded underneath it, and then we had a buyer step in and pop us back up to new session highs of 276. Now we're trying to hold above some of the wicks that we were putting in prior to this move. So I think that would kind of be like maybe around 240. It's going to be the support we're going to want to keep an eye on. But for now, let's see where this goes. 276 is the high. I would think 3 is going to be in there somewhere. Let me see where this resistances are. Yeah, it looks like the $3 is going to be the next resistance area based on this price action we were getting in January. Maybe just slightly higher than 3. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at next.
Moses asking, Ryan, at what point would you add more to your Ondas September call position? Remember, I nibbled on that. And just full disclosure here, I bought that position. It immediately went down. And today it's down even more. The reason that I added the calls is because I want that for a trade. If Ondas turns around and starts to make a run higher, I want to be able to book gains without unloading more of my shares unless we make a much bigger move here. So I would say if we chop for a little bit and we hold 840, I'd probably add a couple more there. But again, this is for the purpose of a trading position. Like if Ondas turns around and makes another move towards highs, I want to be able to sell something without unloading some of my longer, the shares that I would like to hold longer term.
NXTT, one from, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, that suddenly getting a rise here in the past 5 or 6 minutes, right back up to the highs from yesterday. And we're trying to break through them now. We're also getting a mention from Kathy about VSA. That's trying to come back up, and we just made new session highs, 289. But we're pulling pretty quick. Be careful with this one. The float's quite small. And
market sell-off here being mentioned by Dead AI. Indeed, that actually broke 640. So I know we tried to bounce off 640 once. We returned to that area, broke beneath it.
Actually, this is the one with the 39 million shares in it. This is the cash destroyer.
I love that moniker, cash destroyer, for some of these guys. Just that makes me laugh. Tesla continuing to pound lows, Goldman Sachs at lows, PayPal lows, Ondas lows, Palantir lows.
And it's probably like the Joker saying, I'm only burning my half. ARTL.
That's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
ARTL opened. We did get a little slightly higher pop, and then we sold. And we are halted to the downside now. Yep. This is just exactly what I was thinking we could see. Maybe we open slightly higher and then we start selling. So I think that probably the next candle might also be a selling candle. We'll see. I expect there to be some profit taking. So waiting to see if ONCO is going to hold above the 200 EMA. GCTK has not gone a whole lot higher, but we're still holding above VWAP for the moment. A little weak though.
My scanner is full of oil and gas names with crude up 3.4%. I can see why. Bitcoin also at the lows. Jay Rice's mention that is now several weeks old, still holding true. If you want to know what's going on with SPY, watch oil. And that's exactly what we're seeing here today. Oil higher, SPY lower. Bitcoin lower with it. VIX still holding above 30.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Moses, you were asking me what would cause me to add. Well, another thing that would cause me to maybe add a little bit to the existing position that I have. If this market makes a little bit of like a capitulatory move down, and then it looks like it's going to kind of hold and bounce, I might also consider, depending on how much it drops though, and it pulls some other things, I might actually add some strikes a little bit lower because the premium is going to be less. So I don't have to put too much risk on the table, and then I can sell those in tranches on the way back up. The key for me for this trading position is that I'm looking out into the latter half of the year for this. I don't have any indication or edge that we are going to bounce soon, so I would rather give myself some time on some of those contracts.
Super mentioned a moment ago, EEIQ, this is EpiQuest Education. This one, I think, was moving earlier in the week. And it doesn't say that it's halted, but it clearly looks like it's halted to the upside. 760 is the current price right now. That's okay. Now it just unhalted, so we're moving now. Slightly higher print, but some selling occurring. To mention.
X Sniper says, I feel like Ondas is cooked, man. They won't let it run. Any pop, they dump an offering. Look at the rest of the market, though, dude. They won't let anything run. All pops are getting sold, whether it's the SPY, Ondas, or anything in between. And again, you know, this is why on the way up, we always talk about trimming. This is why I outline the J strategy of trimming often when the price moves in your favor. That way, when you have pullbacks like this, it's all right. Or I guess you've raised cash and you're prepared for it.
And you know, Jane, if that's the case, I mean, we've been getting a lot of similar price action as we did last year that we are this year. So I don't think that that's necessarily off base. I think you could be right about that. We'll see what happens in April. I am anticipating that the next, after this week, the next couple of weeks could be pretty volatile. So we should see some, pretty outsized moves, I would think, on some low volume, a little bit of liquidity. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what my anticipation is for the next couple of weeks. We'll see if that ends up being the case.
And don't forget, next week is a truncated week, only 4 trading days as the market is closed for Good Friday on Friday.
VSA did get up to 290. We're still in that candle that it did. It's kind of trading inside of it. GCTK back down at the VWAP again. ONCO looking like it's trying to rise off the 200 EMA. It seems like it's getting some support down there. Volume needs to be better, though. Yeah, Kathy, ARTL is halted down right now. Well done on your on taking half of your gains at 12. My thought is that when we do open, we're probably going to see a little bit more selling, but I think that down possibly around 930, there could be some support. But just be careful with this one. Well done on your trade.
Jay here saying Mag 7 down over 20% from the highs. Jay, let me ask you, does the move from the highs is there a specific percentage down from the highs that you'd be willing to take a flyer on it? I'm kind of looking at the MAGS ETF, that's ticker MAGS, measuring that move. We are down 19% here today. Let me know if there's a specific level in which you'd be looking to add some of these for a trade. Thinking about it, I would agree with you here. If Trump puts boots on the ground, there will be a massive market flush. That will be the bottom to buy. I'm in complete agreement with you. For whatever it's worth to you guys, I'm hoping that that's not the case. But if that's what we end up getting, I'd be trying to probably do the same thing that you are thinking about it.
CW Parker, Generac has really good seasonality going into the hurricane season. You're typically going to see, I think it's after, is it their May earnings? Let me look at their calendar when they have it. It's typically after the earnings they have right before the hurricane season that tends to start doing better. So April 30th is when they have, no, I'm sorry. April 29th is when they have their next earnings. So I think after that earnings print gets out of the way, you'll start to see some better movement in the stock. If you look at, let's look at a chart and we could point to those past.
Really quick, 13. Sorry
Sure.
to get in here. NAV-N, this is up near the highs. The reason I clicked on it is because I also saw some call buying here. Those are the 1250 calls. So it looks like there's still some pressure here on the upside. 13, what ticker do you have here? I'll put it on screen for the visual aid.
GNRC.
GNRC. Generac, of course. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
So if you look at the past couple of years with this stock, and we've looked at seasonality before, and it tends to do better after that earnings that they have at the end of April. Just look at the past couple of years following April 30th. The stock, trades higher all the way into November, and then after November, you start to see a drop off because that is when hurricane season ends. So this is really, it really is. The price action is correlated with the hurricane season. So any other news about them, getting more business? This is going to be, it's going to be just icing on the cake. But there's some pretty strong seasonality with this, especially over the past 2 years. When hurricane season starts following their April earnings.
Then another mention here, COD. This was interesting. This was a scalp from yesterday, but look what it ended up doing. It just drifted higher the whole rest of the day. Now higher here today. Grats if you held it. I was in that just for a scalp yesterday, but man, that's working.
And look at this with ONCO. We are moving up slowly from the 200 EMA on the 5 minute. Not liking the way this is looking. It's just nice that we got this little reversal here, but I'm not sure that this has the strength to get back up and recapture VWAP. Maybe it gets up to the 65 EMA around 480, but it's just, if the volume expands, then everything I just said doesn't matter because we'll probably go higher, but we need to see better volume.
Sorry for interrupting again. First Majestic, ticker AG, repeat call sweeps, tons of them. These are the, looks like a combination here. These are the October. Yeah, it's the October monthly. Actually, it's not a combination, but no, it is. Excuse me. Looks like the October and the December monthly contract here. Strikes range from 25 to 30. Lots of repeat sweeps there. Ticker AG, First Majestic Silver.
October contracts, you said?
October and December, correct.
Okay.
Let me actually see if Thinkorswim tells me if that's part of a calendar or not. No, actually. I don't know that I can confirm this, but just kind of looking at Thinkorswim, I am not sure that those sweeps are part of like a calendar spread. Anyway.
Wow. Just looking through some of the movers we were looking at here today, an EIQ, we were looking at that earlier. That blasted off to as high as almost 8 and then came right back in.
Bohr still at the highs. Looks like it might try to go higher. Here's ARTL for you, 13.
Still halted. ONCO, we're coming up to that 65 EMA. This is where I'm not sure if we're going to get that move through it or not. I think we need to see more volume than this. GCTK, now that's trading underneath VWAP, and BSA, after that pop up to 290 coming back in, we're looking for support around 240. Oh, and ARTL is open and lower, just like we thought it would. So this came down almost to those highs in the pre-market. It's getting support there, and it's filling this gap back up to, or trying to fill the gap back up towards 11. I don't know if it's going to do it, but great trades on ARTL. Kathy, did you take the rest of your gains? I think you're going to have another opportunity.
I think one of the things I like the most about Kathy's trading, at least from what I observe, almost always when you're in these winners, you're scaling out of them. And I think that gives you flexibility. I think that's really good control of your risk. And I think that's all something we should adopt.
We'll see what ARTL does. I mean, I'm not going to be around for the live stream the rest of the day, so we'll have to see what it does on our own. But with ARTL being one of these morning gappers, I'd be curious to see if that continues in the afternoon. So maybe something not to take off your screen if you're looking to trade later. KOD, Kodiak Sciences, now hitting 45.
Man.
And ONCO getting rejection at 65 EMA. Volume still pretty low. Not convinced that we're seeing a move through it yet, but if we start selling back towards the 200 EMA, then I think lower prints are ahead.
Okay.
AGX. Anyone know why it's up 34%? We'll find out together.
Yes, actually.
Argan is they had earnings. They had earnings yesterday, and it is up overnight on earnings. They also had a price target given by JP Morgan, an upgrade to 550, which is where we're at right now. 551.22 to be more specific, but you get it. They had a really big EPS beat, so margins certainly must be improving. The expectation was 196 EPS. They did 347.
Let's see how Meta is doing. Okay, so that's rolling over lower here. That had the lawsuit. That in Google. How's Google doing? Both of those lower still. Meta looks weaker than Google.
Got a line here for Meta, looking at 520. And that would kind of, I don't know why I've got this line here. I think this was back in 2024 when we were talking about an upside break of this coming, and we finally got it. It's in September. So I guess I'll just kind of, put it out there right now. We'll keep 520 to 530 a support area. We'll see if we end up getting that, because man, this thing has been absolutely hammered down. I think it's oversold. Meta might provide a trade maybe either later today or next week. With a 23 RSI, I gotta think that a bottom is near and a reversal is potentially coming.
Hello, Chris. I love it. Hello, friends. I love Chris adopting Jim Nance's just general welcome. That it makes me feel at home. Good to see you, Chris. Happy Friday.
Yeah, CW Parker, I don't think that's necessarily off. I think that it's a bit of a range where we're going to find support, and I find that 530 is at the top of that range for me. So I don't think that that's necessarily a wrong area. I think you got it.
The market.
We're going to see some lower print slightly, but I feel like the 520 to 530 area is about where it's going to be.
The market is trying to bounce here. I do not have a buy indicator from my or a buy signal from my indicator, but it does look like it's trying to bounce. I've got VWAP there 640.82, so we're still a point away from VWAP.
ARTL halted to the downside now at the 15 EMA, which is right about where the pre-market highs were. So this is going to be a bit of a support area. But I think that this is just like I said earlier. I think this is good for now. If you got your trade in this, great. Maybe it does something in the afternoon. I don't know, but I think for the morning, we've got our golden goose egg.
The noob. Okay, here's the thing, guys. If I buy an inverse or if I short anything, it could save the market. I know where you're coming from on that, but the problem is I lose all of my money. Should I do it? No.
Not all heroes wear capes, sir.
You should not do anything. Not all heroes wear capes. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of a serious approach. You should never do anything that has the potential for you losing all your money. Let me just get that out right away. And I don't care what the market is or relation is, or don't do anything that causes you to lose all your money.
Yeah, we like having you around. We don't want you to lose your money.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't have money, who on earth is going to support Chipotle or help me support Chipotle?
ONCO, we hit the 65 EMA. We got pushed back down to 417, and the buyer stepped in. we're back up at the 65 EMA again. So if we get some volume expansion here, look for another test of the VWAP coming.
Yeah, I also think that this area could be a resistance area. So if you took that trade off the 406, 200 EMA, probably worth lightening some here as we're 60 cents higher than that. Jay saying, Ryan, are you a Fighting Illini fan? I'm glad they took out Houston. I am not. Despite living in Illinois, I went to Indiana, so I am not a Fighting Illini fan, but I will say many of my friends attended that school and root for it. And I had Houston in my bracket. Now, I will say my bracket is not toast, even with that upset, and it did toast a couple of others. So I think the net result of that is still positive for me. But no, I do not root for U of I. Selling seems to have slowed down. Famous last words, so I'll knock on wood, but we'll see if that is the case. Netflix turned around at 93. Izzy, are you still scalping that? That's right at that pre-market low.
Ooh. Yeah, it looks like things are starting to get a bit weaker here. ONCO still not able to recapture that 65 EMA. GCTK, this one after hitting 167 has just been having a bad morning. Looks like we're coming back down to the 65 EMA on that one as well. BSA still trying to hold above some of these out of the gate highs. Amy says dead AI, and AG says Parker. All my stocks tanked the day my old broken IKEA dressers recalled to $75. Oh man, I love the optimism. That's awesome.
V-Tree, you are not disturbing, but we encourage interaction in the chat here. Unfortunately, I cannot possibly answer your question. I cannot tell you or advise you what to buy or sell ever on anything. I am not licensed to do so. If that's what you require, my only piece of advice is that you hire a fiduciary or a financial advisor that can help you with that. Now, as far as your question here on Ondas, the reason that I chose to buy calls is because I'm trying to create a situation where I can sell something without lightening my long-term position if we get a reversal. Also, by buying calls, my risk is clearly defined ahead of the trade. And if everything goes south against me, I can only lose what I've set out for that potential trade. That's about all I can tell you on what I'm doing there. I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to punt on your question, but you're asking me something that's illegal. And same to you, Sonny. No one in here can advise what you do with your money. I am sorry that you're stressed. If that stress is affecting you, I go back to my initial piece of advice here. I think that you would benefit from having a fiduciary or a financial advisor.
Fiduciary, because they are legally required to act in your interests.
Bingo.
Financial advisors, not all of them are licensed, so they will solicit products to you. Make sure that you got a licensed fiduciary. That would be my only recommendation I give.
Okay. Thank you, 13, for refining that.
Yep. ARTL open, trying to recover, looking for 10. So like I was saying, keep an eye on this one. Maybe it does something in the afternoon. We're still in the morning. I don't know. I mean, I was only excited about the first halts that we had because it's something I've seen before. And we've seen it time and time again after you get like 3 upside moves with halts. Typically that fourth one tends to be when the selling starts, and we've got that. So I'm not really too enthusiastic about ARTL anymore because all the familiar stuff is kind of out of the way. What happens next, I really don't know. We might have some support in the 8s from all the sideways price action we've got in the pre-market. We might see some more halts today, but this is just one I just wouldn't take off my radar. But I'm not going to be jumping back into it right now either.
Jane here says it's awful watching this, but it also looks like nice clearance sale coming. So let's peel that back a step here. As Zach said exactly. This is also why one of the strategies that we have been talking about is it makes sense to take a profit. It makes sense to raise cash. 13, this is something that you and I have been on for months, right? Just kind of an overlying strategy. And I can tell you that when you're not fully invested and you have cash on the sidelines and you start seeing some of those moves down, Jane, it's easier to say, to kind of look at the future and say, yeah, there might be a nice clearance sale. There might be some stocks that I really wanted at more affordable prices. And I think that's, I think that really kind of goes hand in hand with being able to manage your winners as they're going up. When the market was trading sideways, we kind of sped up how much we were raising cash because it looked like we were kind of changing our character and breaking that trend. And indeed, now we're kind of rolling over and testing some of those lows. Let me tell you something. I've got cash in my account ready to go in case we have a move down. Yeah. That alone makes this easier to look at red days. Now, on top of that, we've also made some good trades over the past 6 months or so, and we've been able to actually sell things at a profit. That, of course, helps too. But ultimately, having some dry powder for when we get one of these big down moves, that's going to help keep your mentals aligned, if you will.
Hey, Vitri, don't ever be sorry for asking the question. It's something that we are happy to answer for you.
We are sorry that we cannot answer you directly. That's what I was apologizing for. I'm never going to put myself or the company in a position where we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. I just want to apologize for not being able to answer. We're not ignoring you. We're not punting on it. We're following the rules.
We'll look at VCX in a sec here because Danik would like to have our thoughts on it. Jane's in 60% cash. She knows a good sale when she sees it. She's ready to go. There was also another. Do we ever look at 2X stocks like APLX? These leverage ETFs we look at quite frequently. One of my favorite
inverse ones. ETFs?
Yeah. One of my favorite ones was RGTZ. That was, I've been playing, I haven't played it recently, but I was playing that one a lot to the downside with Rigetti.
Maybe we should have been playing this recently. Look at this.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have been. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do look at these. And one of the concerns we have about the number of these that are on the market right now is that there's more ETFs than there are stocks. So when a stock has a lot of these leverage ETFs, if that stock goes down, it's going to pull down those ETFs as well. And it just makes it for more of a more volatile market reactions. You get a little bit more outsized moves to the downside and upside depending on market sentiment. So it's just something that you got to keep in mind. We do look at these, and they're great trading vehicles, but these are not ones you just necessarily want to hold overnight. They're really just meant for day trades and maybe swing trades when they work. They're not really working right now.
Indeed. Fairchild says, Senate passes the partial DHS funding bill. Yeah, I think that I'm going to be able to make my flight and not have to worry. Big sigh of relief there. I'll let you know how that goes when I do it. Knights Lance saying, you got to love the Purdue win here. A great game and a win. Game was definitely good. As an Indiana fan, I don't have to like anything Purdue does. Lol, take that. But also, I actually picked Purdue in my bracket. We call that an emotional hedge. And so I'm doing just fine here today. Also, Selena saying it's a good thing to manage risk, take profits when needed to, put in stops, cost average, manage trades. Just a few tips there.
Those are great tips.
Those are great tips. Judge, I would agree with Selena.
Judge, have a wonderful weekend, man. I appreciate you coming by again.
Yeah, and I say it all the time, and I'm going to keep saying it. Judge is one of those guys that, without being asked, just puts positivity into the universe every single day. We need more of that. And Richard, we appreciate that. Have a great weekend, boss.
Okay, so VCX, we were asked about that. This is Fund Rise Innovation Fund. It looks like a new issue. I don't know anything about this.
It's got like a net asset value of 17. Thing went to 500.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I remember this one. This. Okay. Yeah. We talked about this one earlier in the week, I think. And this is down because Citron dropped a short call on it. That's my understanding. Andrew left. There he is again. He said on X that short VCX, arguing the stock's valuation is disconnected from its underlying assets, adding simple math, which, I can agree with, because I don't think that there's any reason for that to be up near 500. But anyway, so that's hopefully that answers your question as to why it's down. It looks like this has been just getting hammered by that short interest, going from, gosh, a high of, what's this, 575. We're now down trading at 155. It's quite a haircut.
The Noob says, I'm going back in time 1 year to buy Microsoft. The Noob, can I ask you a gigantic favor? When you're done with your time machine that somehow works, can I borrow it? I'd like to spend some more time with my father.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would. You can buy all the Microsoft you want.
Yeah, ARTL, filling that gap down that we have from the $10 area to the into the nines from that last hot we got around 10 o'clock this morning. So trying to come back up, we filled that. Like I said, keep an eye on this one. If it provides if it's looking like it's providing a trade or a setup for you that you want to take, just understand the risks. Looks like it's still getting some pretty good volume, so certainly not off the table for a trade. Just be careful. Just be careful.
I got stopped out of queues, paid the tuition today, holding for clarity, excuse me. Going to take it out on the bike pedals. Yo,
nice.
I'll say this. Here's another tip that I can give. This has worked for me, and it's going to continue to work for me. You're going to have bad days in the market. And if one of the things that you can do is you can take that negative feeling and negative energy and pour that into exercise and turn that around, that is a huge, huge benefit that you might not even realize yet. I fully support that. Good luck on all of that. Thank you, Green Gold. And I appreciate that. And the Noob, man, I feel you. I am sorry for your loss. I know how it goes. What did you have? 13?
Mo, killing it. Well done, Mo. You have a wonderful weekend, all right? He made several hundred on ONCO and GCTK.
Yeah, Mo, let me ask you, was it you earlier this week that said that you kind of took a hit on one of the trades? Maybe I'm mixing this up with somebody else, and if I am, I apologize for that. But the reason that I'm bringing that up is because I just want to say that when you have a bad day, it's important to be able to come back refreshed. Look what you were able to do today. We appreciate you, Mo.
Kathy mentioning APA. So, well, kind of wish.
Oh, this actually looks like maybe a breakout here.
I was going to say, I kind of wish you had told us about this maybe in January. No, I'm just kidding. This is had a
actually,
really
she might have.
Probably.
now that she said that, she actually might have done that because we've talked about APA a few times.
It's quite possible. I don't know when I drew this trend line, but I've got a massive trend line here on this thing going back from the highs in 2008. So we have been in a downtrend for 18 years. And it looks like we're getting pretty close, or we're actually starting to snap that a bit. Now, we need to see if we can hold above this, but this has also got a pretty elevated RSI on the monthly. 50-month is at 32.05, and we've broken out above that. I don't know if this is going to represent a time to take your gains and then wait for this to cool off and maybe back test the 50-month SMA. I don't know anything about this company, but it seems like there's something that has started to go right with this, because ever since Liberation Day last year, monthly chart shows that it's been steadily climbing up. It's another oil and gas name. Exploration interest Uruguay, Alaska, other international locations. Segments are Egypt, North Sea, Suriname, and the U.S.
COD, this continues to push higher. This new highs now above 45.
Company looks pretty solid financially. Well done.
Yeah, Mo, I absolutely love this. It's one thing to celebrate and do victory laps, and y'all know we do plenty of that when things work here. Much more difficult when things don't initially go your way, but this is a really good job holding your nose to the grindstone there. Took a hit on Wednesday, came back Thursday and recovered it and then some, regrounded and came back better. That is a trait of someone that is going to be successful in this for a while. So pat yourself on the back for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
It's KOD, man. This one I was not expecting to put in such good moves. I mean, it's 13.5%, but it's more or less been straight up with very little in the way of pullback. ARTL is halting again, so kind of seeing some sideways price action. ONCO still trying to manage its way between the 265 EMAs. Looks like VSA is also trying to find some volume. Like it wants to go for 3, but not getting it. You know, the SPY looked like we had talked about some near-term support areas in SPY, and it looked like we were coming down to one. I don't think it's necessarily a reversal area because I'm still expecting lower prints in this to the tune of 10 to 14% correction. But we did mention last night that this area that we're coming down to in the high 630s could provide some support briefly. We are getting that now. I could see markets trading higher off, relative to where we're at right now next week, but I'm not looking at a recovery. I just think that this could be a bounce given all the downside price action we've had this week. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It does.
The 1,000-day SMA. So he's looking at, I think that's about 4 years with that SMA. Because when I look at time frames like that, because you have 252 days trading days in a year. So you could use a 252 moving average. We use with the 200. But if you look at the 500, which represents 2 years, that has worked really well. But you're talking about 1,000. That's 4 years basically. So I've never used that, but that's super interesting.
All right, 13. We are out of time here. It's time for us to move over to Anne Marie. Really good stuff this week. You got any closing words for the group?
I just love everybody that's been having a great management with their trades. Keeping their bolts tightened. Just really fantastic trading in a absolutely scary time in the markets and in the world. So my hat's off to everybody that's been making these trades, sticking with it, and learning and executing their strategies. Just make sure you guys pat yourself on the back this weekend. I think you guys have been doing a great job. So take that with you into the weekend and come back on Monday. We're going to have a short week, but it's going to still be a fun week. I'm looking forward to it, everybody. So have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Goodbye.
Thanks for everything. As always, 13, have a great weekend, and we will follow up with you next week. 13's departure leaves room for Anne Marie. Let's check in with her on this Friday. There we go. Anne Marie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Why is next week short?
Good Friday.
Oh, yes.
The market is closed on Friday in observance of Good Friday.
All right. Very nice. Yeah, it's good to be here. It's good to be here. I love 13.
I know. He's the best.
It's so funny. Keep your bolts tightened. That made me think of a jalopy that was falling apart with the wheels coming off and everything.
A jalopy. It has been years since I have heard somebody use the jalopy term. Here we go, Anne Marie.
The market's a jalopy right now.
Kidding. You're not kidding. When can we turn this thing back into a Bentley? You got to go from jalopy to Bentley here pretty soon.
Oh my goodness. Woo. All right. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some stuff.
You want to share your screen? There we go. You were already doing it. My apologies.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. So we've got something that looks very risk off, excuse me. And so we've got staples, utilities, energy, of course, begins to really rear its head. We are going to listen so everybody's been talking about it, but I'll say it again. The market's very hedged right now. People are very concerned. So they're buying their puts and they're buying their calls just in case things turn around and they move back to the upside. People are still thinking about buying these dips. It's the end of the quarter. The JP Morgan collar expires. So they're going to put a new collar on. And so between today, Monday, and Tuesday, there's going to be a lot of defending of walls. And so what that's going to cause is markets to do this.
Okay.
So if we're thinking about what's a gal or guy to do in a space like this, think about jumping over that edge and looking forward in time. As I've been saying several times, listen, time is going to be a better friend to you than taking quick strikes in directional formations, simply because in general, we're bearish, but the biggest bounces ever to occur in the market are in bearish formations because we are compelled to buy if we're sellers. Because we can't just look at the market as it goes up if we're short. We simply have to go, I got to get out of here. So buyers are forced into the market, and then we get another collapse because those buyers aren't there to stay. They're there to leave because they've been short. So long story short, we know what's going on with the Google and Meta things losing their court case and all of that. That might be a pretty nice, the only thing I could think about here would be a nice quick downward flow into the trade. So we would say, let's take a look at Google. Let's see how that chart looks. GOOGL. The guys at T3 suggest the L versus just the G.
Interesting. Why is that?
I think they believe the options perform better. So, I trust them. I think they're great guests. I always try to check them out when they're there. And, so I've adopted that moving into GOOGL. Okay, so where are we? Big fade. Notice Google's very institutionally owned. Very institutionally owned. So here we are into the last earnings space. Remember my motto about earnings formations. If it drops out of the earnings box, it's going to the next earnings box, unless it's at brand new highs, and then we'll just do a Fibonacci retrace on it. Look at where it's sitting right now. So my thought is, here's a gap that could fill, and here's the 50 on the week, but here's the 200 on the daily. So why not say, I think there's a short there. I think I'm going to that 250. And so how do we play it? We say, let's say it gives us April. Now, sad face, I do believe that this war will be protracted. All the game theory guys saying the same thing. And so we could have this fade that then bounces, but we should have a lot of, when the realization comes to the market where they go, yeah, this hope event not looking too good right now, we've got ourselves a pretty fair setup for a flush into the end of April. So here's how it looks. We're going to go into that 50. So let's go 260, 250, 240, butterfly. $1,000 on the upside, $63 of risk. Yes. So there's one.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, it's very nice and clean, gives us a good amount of risk, and it's in the direction of trend. Once people realize, and again, these guys are hyperscalers, investing tons of money into AI. They just had this lawsuit come up against them. People are gonna liquidate. They're gonna go, hey, I'm gonna ring the register. I made a ton of money. Time for me to ring the register. It's just natural repricing. The sun will come out tomorrow. We just have to think about what can we do in the near term, and that is most often, don't pull any triggers that are expectations of, oh, don't worry, we'll be off to the races because X, Y, or Z. I mentioned this earlier in the day in my morning video about the bond auction this week that went really badly. The 2-year bond auction went really, really badly. And what that really means is that the bond market is expecting higher rates, or they would have bought those short-term bonds, the 2 years. They did terrible. Tim and I were actually also talking about that. So this is a space where we go, hey, we got some downward trend. We need to continue to sell spikes. Any big news that comes over the framework is to be viewed from narrative management. We know the Democrats want us in the war because they think it's going to make the Republicans lose. The Republicans want to win the offensive because they know it gives them a shot at the midterm. Just everybody is in narrative frameworks. So step back and realize the only thing that never lies is price. And when you're staring that down, it's going to give you some really nice setups. And don't listen, fear is, you don't want to teach your kids, hey, go ahead and touch hot stoves and jump off these mountains for no reason. Of course, we have real fears, right? But a lot of times we're fearful in a place where we go, wait a second, something's happening. I am very far away from the conflict, so I'm okay. So I don't need to fret. I don't need to give that to my children or my parents or anything. And just realize you've got your box. That's all you can control. And just work on that. All right. The next thing we can look at is in the repricing, we can look at things and go, all right, what can we do in this space to prepare? My thought is still energy. We talked about the fuels last time. It's got downward flow. Again, I think this is something that goes, hey, let's price it like it's going to the 200 simple moving average, and then we'll turn around. So a couple of ways we can do that. Let's say that one goes to May, right? And we go, I think it's going to the 14. That's 90 cents. But you could also go, well, maybe I'll save myself a little bit and I'll spend $62 and get $400 to the upside, right? Now, here's the thing. If it completely rolls off a cliff, I mean, you could get put to this 10, right? Let's say it rolls to wherever. You could get put to the 10. As long as you're there to hold it, you'll be in great shape. There are going to be deals galore. Keep dry powder. Keep yourself focused. Take a look at the things that are moving. I got to tell you this, with the amount of financialization and tokenization, coin, once it settles, it's going to be another place to buy. Now, look at where they are. They're going to have a first pass bounce here, but I think they're going to bounce into another short. We have this here. This is the first place they're going to try to bounce. Here's earnings coming on the 4th of May. So you can do something double-sided that says, what if I go for 100 or 200? And that's going to be super cheap if you look at the vol, let's go to June. If you look at the vol and you go, I'm going to do a 180 and then 200, 220. It's only going to give me 50%. Well, no, that's $500 for 2,000. So it's got, 3x on it or so. You might go, wow, that's a little bit expensive. You can turn it into 2 butterflies. Something that says, I have a feeling it's going to go to either of those by the end of the summer. That's where my bet is going to sit.
Okay.
You seem very tentative, very thought-filled. Where's your head? What do you want to look at?
Yeah, so I am. So first of all, I'm with you entirely on this coin thing. Full disclosure, we've been having a lot of discussions recently on Happy Hour about new things getting tokenized. What might be next? Is it going to be Ethereum? What other stocks are that connected to? I love where the chart's at right here. I have zero conviction right now buying almost anything. And here's the deal, Anne-Marie. I feel as if what's next for us, and perhaps I'm being clouded by what happened last April, I feel like what happens next is we have kind of a capitulatory move at some point down.
Yes.
And that's going to bring a bunch of stuff with it. And so I don't know how to time that. So playing to the downside is the difficulty is elevated there. And for me, what seems like the easiest way to kind of get through this is wait for that to happen and kind of go at it when we see that move. So I look at this coin chart here. I think back to all of the discussions we've had about crypto in general, but also the additional tokenization of almost everything. And I agree with you. I think that this is going to be great. I'm just not ready to buy it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's so when you talk about, what was the word you used? It wasn't trepidation. Just kind of like being on hold or being reserved right now. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. And I totally agree. I mean, I totally agree. Catching anything long right now is going after, a very sharp samurai sword.
Absolutely. And in fact, we just talked with Mark Putrino earlier this morning, who reiterated that. He said that a few times here, wait for the confirmation. And one of the things that I'm kind of waiting for, give me that capitulation event so that I'm not trying to catch these bottoms that just dip more the next day. Then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Shorts opening up right now, really big. You know what's super interesting? I think all of these chips having a reflexive bounce, great place to short. It's going to be a great place to short. They're all at their 50% zones at this juncture. All of them bouncing. Micron. AMD is not bouncing. I thought that was bouncing. Oh, it held the flat coming into that 200. I think AMD, all of these guys, STX, I think all of them are going to rotate downward. So all of these are making really nice short setups. So I think they're going to very likely unwind this move. Some of them already are. These have gone from green to red. What's very interesting is what's going on with glass and optics.
Oh, yeah. Fiber optics.
Oh, my
group's
gosh.
been on that. Our group has been on that. AAOI, CIEN, LITE, GLW for Corning, all of those.
What were the first ones?
AAOI, Applied Optoelectronics.
Okay.
CIEN, Sienna.
Right.
And LITE, Lumentum.
Yeah, I know that what Lumentum is. That's really great. GLW, listen, I remember when this stock was $12.
I know, me too.
It's bananas.
It's bananas, and it made a huge move. I remember when SanDisk was, $50.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is insane. I think all of those are going to get repriced.
Yeah, I think so too.
You want to talk about some things going bananas, but I do believe something like STX has got great. It's got great vol. And so the short action event really takes it all the way back to 280. So you just need to give it time. Now, here's the interesting part. Seasonality, same way. Thank you, Jay. Seasonality also says that tech is it is a giant underperformer for this time of year that tips in September. So again, if you're looking for cheap, but very likely, head out. They don't have August in here yet. Head out and get yourself, where is this one? 280. We'll go 300, 280, 300. Let's see where they are. 300 to, 280. $260. It's a dime.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a dime if it rotates over, and it should. So, yeah, I do. I think these guys are in great shorts. If you're thinking about a short-term short, which I think April's going to give us a doozy, we're looking at the same kind of structure, and we're looking for it to break 350 and head to 300. So you can go 350. Woo, that's expensive. You can go 350, 300. You could go a 1x3 by 2. That would be 250. $430 for $5,000 of upside.
That's not bad either.
Asymmetric bets. Asymmetric bets here.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do you folks want to see anything specific?
Yeah.
Anne-Marie, I appreciate all of that. Let me know if there's anything that you know what I wanted to ask you real quick. You were talking
Sure.
about the Meta and the Google decision.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to pave the way for more lawsuits?
Oh, 100%.
Do you think this is now setting a precedent?
Absolutely.
And so I'm almost wondering if there are going to be other companies too, like maybe Reddit or Snap, that also face something similar?
Listen, we are the most litigious society on earth. You better believe every lawyer who's looking to make his way is out trying to build another class action suit. I do.
Okay.
Reddit, definitely. Oh my goodness, Reddit. But at the end of the, thank goodness I only go there for recipes. So
Okay.
you know, right? Things I hear over there. So yeah, I do. The bigger question is, isn't it a good thing it's getting repriced? Yeah, let's say they go ahead and sue a bunch of them, right? Let's just say it happens and they go do it and they even win. These guys have got so much cash and so they're going to settle out and, and it's going to be a beep and then we're off to the races. But these guys as hyperscalers needed to be repriced anyway.
Okay.
And so we're just looking for places that they come in on the cheap. Now, if we go back to the big AI thing, I heard one guy, I don't know, he was arguing about it, I don't remember where, but he said something like, AI is going to disrupt Google advertising. I think there's some merit to that. I know when I do a search, when the AI overview pops up, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It just ends up. So what that AI overview is going to do is they're going to gain that and they're going to sell advertising that says, hey, you want to appear in that AI overview, here's what you have to pay. I don't believe that it's going to be, what is the word? bipartisan in how it delivers information to us. It's going to be very driven by
The highest bidder.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
if we don't want that, then we have to choose another alternative. But it's always the way it goes. Money wins everything. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's interesting. It's actually one of the reasons I use Grok so much for general questions like that. And the thing about I actually pay for Grok because
So do I.
for X, when I do the premium plus plan, not only do I get X Pro, which I think is worth the money on its own, but I also get the paid version of Grok. That model, you pay to have it, so it removes some of those ads. I almost wonder if it would be less susceptible to what you're talking about in terms of, getting paid to have things in the responses. I'm just hypothesizing. I don't know how that's going to go.
Potentially, but this big lawsuit against Elon Musk and the Twitter and the Twitter users that said that his tweets forced the repricing of Twitter, so he got it on the cheap or whatever. That lawsuit is in the middle of going on right now. And so if he loses that, and he's got, all the money in the world, apparently, could he go, well, let's just start churning out some more cash? And so it could be that the dollar runs the show again there as well. I suspect all AI narratives are going to be financially driven.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, real quick here. Can we do NBIS? Can we take a look at that? That's a suggestion here from the chat.
What is this?
This is Nebius. This is an AI player.
Okay, so here's what's happened. 2 earnings ago, it fell, and now we have earnings again here. The 50, I think the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater in these next few weeks. This is a nice region that it's holding. The problem is the following. Okay, so here we have inventory accumulation. Looks like about how many months? 3 months, 2 months of inventory accumulation. It breaks down, and so let's duplicate that. Takes us to the bottom of the range. You can see breaking down there. They're trying to fill the gap is what happened. And so here they are filling the gap or filling the recent resistance. They still haven't filled the gap way down here, which, I mean, they could. If we get a repricing actually going, this will come in and kiss its 200, right? That's what we're thinking. So I would suspect, listen, trend is up, momentum is up in terms of the big picture. You could see momentum is still up, still holding, but dips or buys, not breakouts. And so if you're looking at the dip and you're saying, hey, does it hold the 100 here? If you're willing to say, wait, it's 22 days away from earnings. It could be, take a look at this one, this chart. Look at what happened to earnings here. This just had earnings. It went from $400 to $560.
It's just crazy.
That's insane. So I don't even know what they do. I really don't. So that one's bananas. I don't know if that was short covering or what happened there, but this coming into earnings could be the same thing. It could get right back to the top of the box. It could get to the bottom of the box. Again, these are what's the trade? These are, what does it mean? The word that means either or, up or down. I forget. It starts with a DI, whatever. My brain.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So my thought is either it goes down to the base of this earnings event down here at 80, or it moves up back into this heavy congestion zone above 115. So looks like about a $15 to $20 move on either side. If you want to take a gamble, it's 20 up, 20 down. I think eventually the chart is going to do well, right? So that's why I have the 110, 120, 130 butterfly sitting here. It's not a bad idea. But if we're staring down, which way do we go for earnings, I would suspect that May would be the one that we would look at. And, the vol is expensive. I mean, it's very expensive to choose a side. I'd wait for that unless you're selling premium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It was the word dichotomy.
Thank you. Yes.
Black Mamba's got it.
Bless you, Black Mamba. I appreciate it.
All right. Okay, Anne-Marie, really good stuff here. Thanks again for everything. As always, I hope that you're able to enjoy your weekend, and we're going to catch up with you next week.
I will. I've had 3 grandsons in 4 months.
Okay, so you're
Had
doing all
one
right
yesterday, having one today.
Okay, well,
Bananas.
congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations. That is
Thank
awesome. Anne-Marie, do me a favor. Have a great weekend, all right?
You too. You too. Take
All
care.
right. Take care. That is Anne-Marie Baiynd, folks. Her departure, we're going to keep trucking on here. It is a Friday fun day. Her departure leaves room for Sandy. Let's go ahead and check in with Sandy. Sandy, how are you here today?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's Friday. Won a bet
Always
last
good
night.
to see you because I know it's TGIF.
Indeed. Always looking up. Always trying to take the positives out of everything. What do you got coming up for us here today?
Taking the positives, boy, when you have some profit, take it right off that table as soon as you can.
That's right. Especially in this market. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to, basically just talk about maybe some tips and tricks during this market environment. If you're not used to it, kind of have to keep it front and center, regardless of those little tiny rallies that we have. And looking at maybe focusing on that 200-day moving average and how we broke that. So stand by to stand by.
Okay. I love it. I'm always up for tips like that. Really good stuff. Trading Made Simple with Sandy starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fit-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Good morning. Oops, I didn't have my screen on. How's everybody doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. Little pockets, right, of green. We got definitely some outliers this morning, right? I think Netflix had a day yesterday, just completely opposite of like what's happening in the marketplace. As you can see, we've been taking a dive, and ever since we broke through that 200-day moving average, let's get over to SPY on a day chart and take a look at that. As you can see, we ended up breaking through the 200-day, which is that gold line here. And then the president came on and said he's got a 15-point plan to stop the war, right? And then that all of a sudden started fading. And you can see that we came and we bumped up against that 200-day moving average on SPY. And then immediately, boom, boom, and boom. Really now this is like a vertical trend line. Let's take a look at it on a weekly and see what it looks like. On a weekly, we have plenty of room to the downside, don't we? So with that in mind, when we don't see, a lot of support and resistance levels here with vertical trend lines, it always reminds me we have a lot of room to run to the downside still. So what ends up happening, though, is noticeably, if you were, let's say, in a put position, and overnight, as an example, hopefully a debit spread, I might add, right? Like Anne-Marie was saying, the premiums are so expensive right now to get into buying contracts that selling one of those legs, as an example, on a debit spread, will allow you, to kind of readjust your pricing and, be in the ballpark of fair market value. Because if your contract is too expensive to purchase and you don't know about it, and you're paying, let's say, 100 or 500% more than it would typically cost you, then for you to sell it, you're just not going to be able to sell it with a profit. And what a lot of people are noticing right now is that they're getting into, let's say, a long call or a long put. The price is going in their direction, but they're not making very much money or none at all. And it's because when they got into that contract, they spent too much for it. So be cognizant of it. I call it wartime volatility. Be cognizant that this environment is not the same as any environment. And because of that, whatever you have done in the past, it just doesn't equate to what's happening right now. You kind of have to have a new game plan, and I call it the wartime game plan. And what are the things that we're looking for when we identify this wartime volatility? Well, there are 4 things that we need to keep track of. One is the VIX, and you can see that I have a label on my screen for it to make sure, regardless of what the intraday is actually doing, that it's always on my mind, because I don't want to go away for the weekend, have a great time, come back, not listen to the news, not recognize what's happening, and think that I'm going to come back to the marketplace like I always do, like it's Groundhog Day. It is not Groundhog Day, guys. This needs to be front and center all the time. So the VIX, if you don't know, the VIX over 20 is basically identifying that there's fear in the market. When we get to 25, it's standby to standby. That's not a good sign. And when we get close to 30, hold your pants up, because things are going to get bad. And that's where we're about. We are at what, 29, 22. Oil. If oil goes up, and what is the ticker for oil, guys? All you got to do is go /CL or /CL, and you could take a look at oil. If oil is rising today versus yesterday, it's not good. I mean, if you need to keep your finger on the pulse of what oil is doing. Oil is up today. Gold. What's up with gold? If gold is up, that is a safe haven for fear, right? People that are fearful of the market will always invest in gold. And so if gold goes up, that's bad. And then yields. If yields goes up, that's bad too. And so you can see that we have 3 out of 4 items that we're talking about that are negative. 1 is positive, that yields are down. But in the event that you didn't know, we were in a wartime volatility, and this is really an upside down market. This is really going to just allow you to keep your finger on the pulse. So what do you do when there's wartime volatility and prices are so expensive that the market makers are gouging those contracts? Well, one of the easiest things you could do is move to a debit spread. If you end up getting a debit spread, you're selling one contract, you're buying another contract, it helps you with your pricing so that you can actually participate in the market, make money, and have that position be hedged. Now, the next thing is that if you're shooting, as typically I shoot for about a 50% profit. If I'm around 30 or 40% these days, I'm taking it right off. I'm taking my profits. Why? Because one day you could be, in a very bearish situation, and you could be making money on puts. And then the next day we have this relief rally because maybe a tweet came out or a 15-point plan came out, and all of a sudden things change. And when things change so quickly like this, you have to be able to take your money off the table and just prepare for the next trade, right? Day trading. Now, I'm not much of a day trader. I really like putting on my trades Sunday night, just letting them play out. We have a system called Autopilot, the passive trading system, which really teaches you how to do this. And in order to do that, right, we're putting on our trades Sunday night, and we let them play out. The good thing about what we're doing is that we already, in the beginning, when we set up our trades, we already tell the market makers, hey, look, I'm interested in getting into this position, but I'm not going to pay you more than a certain amount for this contract. You have to have a kind of a resistance level for what you're willing to pay, because if not, you're going to be buying your contracts way too expensive. You'll never make any money when you go to sell them. So that's really important. The next thing too is you don't want to be caught in your automations when there's a news drop or a tweet drop, right? And that volatility goes sky high. And I mean, it changes in milliseconds. So having that limit price where you're like, this is the most that I want to buy for is super important in your automations. Next would be, I think those are the top three actually. Using debit spreads for price gouging, taking profits off the table much earlier than you would normally take them. And then also, what was the third one I had? Just being cognizant that day trading is actually more in line with this type of volatility than swing trading. If you're thinking that you can hold on for a position like you normally would, reaching 50%, 100%, I mean, you really got to take your profits off the table fast, because tomorrow or maybe in the next 20 minutes, there'll be a tweet and everything changes. So taking profits a lot quicker. All right. So let's get over to the charts now that we went through that. And we recognize that we're in a bearish situation. Now I believe it was on Wednesday, we had a relief rally, right? You could call it a relief rally, but it was really, a repositioning. We had some positive news. Oil was down that day on Wednesday. We had the 15-point plan that came out, right? And what that did was it allowed everyone to close their put positions. Now, when you have trillions of dollars that are inputs, and then a tweet comes out, and then people start to reverse their positions and get out of them. What this does to the market mechanism is it kind of causes this gamma squeeze. And what that does is it drives prices higher as people are closing out trillions of dollars of puts. You need to keep this in mind, because what this is not an environmental macroeconomic change that's going on. It's a market mechanism. It's part of the machinery that's taking in all the institutional trades and retail traders. And what ends up happening is when you have all those trillions of dollars trying to reverse and get back to delta neutral, and everybody kind of saying, okay, what's the next move? Moving all that money, what that does, and closing out all those positions and paying everybody off, ends up driving the market higher. And so knowing this will allow you then not to, get into a mindset that, we've changed and turned the corner, because we have not. And so you really want to be mindful of these little rallies, so to speak, or these little news events that cause a reversal in the market. Because right now the trend's down, guys. The trend is down. And so knowing that, then you could probably reposition yourself for maybe a bullish trade, day trade, and then close it out at the end of the day, knowing that tomorrow we'll probably continue with our trend, which is on the downside. And so Wednesday we had a little relief rally, and here we are today with SPY down about $5.30. So what can we do about this? We can automate our trades so that we can be basically prepared, right? We can be prepared for both situations, whether tomorrow is a bullish day or Monday is a bullish day or a bearish day. You could look at your chart, make a game plan, and say, okay, what do I want to do? Let's go ahead and create a game plan for something here. I was looking at my watch list, and I was looking at, as an example, let's see here, not too many buy things, but you can see that XLE looking really nice today. Let's take a look at it on a day chart. Really just beautiful upsloping on the 20, really nice momentum. This is looking really good right now. By the way, guys, did you, with that in mind, right? So energy right now is in focus. If you didn't know about this all being about oil, that's why you need to focus on it when we're in wartime. And so as we take a look at this, you could get into a day trade. Now, would I keep it over the weekend? The answer is no. If I had any profit off of it, I would take it off the table and then reassess come Monday. Because you don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. That's like a long period of time to to see what's going to happen. But if you were to look at this morning, this would have been a nice setup. And then as you can see, when we broke above that 20, you could see that, by the way, if you don't know, on any time frame, if you're above that 20 EMA, real easy way to identify that the trend is positive intraday, right? Intraday, it's positive. Now, if we did the same thing, by the way, on a daily, same thing. Look at how bullish we are. We're kind of jumping away and getting away from that 20. We typically don't like to get away from it too much, or it'll come back and revert to the mean. So you just want to be cognizant of that. So I would kind of stay away from the buys right now. I would go into the trend trade, which is more of a selling. And as we could see on an hourly, we got SPY that's just now kind of taking a little bounce here, but still looking very bearish. Let's see, if we ended up, we could actually use 1 hour candles. That's actually an easy way to do it. There's a great support and resistance. Let's do that. SVE pivots on Thinkorswim. If you haven't used it, let's bring it over there so you can see it. The purple is identified by point of control. You have 3 support areas, and then you have 3 resistance areas. Look at how far down we are. And we took a bounce, guys. We took a bounce where? Right on the line. I mean, you know, these indicators are just so fine-tuned, like these levels. Everyone knows about these levels. Still mind-boggling when you don't have the indicator on. Then you put the indicator on and you see that price bounces specifically at that level. So as you can see, 638.22 was the level that we bounced at. If we can break above, how do we look at this indicator and then make decisions? Let me show you how to do that, and then we'll get into a trade. When we take a look at an indicator and we say, okay, it bounced from this level. And so right now it's in between these 2 support levels, right? This now is support. This last support level, we broke through it. Now is resistance. So what does that mean when you're like trying to formulate your plan? You're saying that if you break above the previous resistance level, which is this green line, 641.66, then you have a higher probability that you're going to go higher. That's all that there is. Let's break it down to the simplest strategy. We bounced off a support. What was one support is now resistance. If I can break through that resistance, I'm going higher. And where's the next level? It's actually point of control, which is the pink line, which is 648.25. So, but I would look at my 20 because I love my 20. I really do feel like it's a very easy way to identify where you're at, and serves as strong resistance as well as support. So I would say that if we broke above that 641.66, I'm going to write this down so I can get my trade, because this is my trade plan, right? I don't have to sit in front of the computer for 3 hours and study. I could just use something as simple as this and say, if I break above that 641.66, I like to pad, which means that I like to just bump it up. If I was going to say, hey, I'm getting into this trade at 641.66, I'm going to bump it up a little. And the reason I do is because everybody knows this level. And so I don't want the institutions to fake us out. I don't want them to drive the price right above it and then make a U-turn and go right back down. So I don't want to be liquidity for anybody. So what I want to do is just bump it up a little bit to make sure that there's enough momentum to keep on going. So on this, where it says 641.66, I would maybe take 641.75 or I'll take even 80 actually. So let's go above that about 20 cents. So let's do 641.80. Then I'm in for what? A call debit spread, right? We're going to use a debit spread so that we could take advantage of selling one of the legs. So, and then where would our target be? Our target would be around the 20. Now, when I look at that 20 and say, okay, that's my target to take profit, I'm now going to pat it to the downside a little bit. And my reasoning here is, and it might make it easy for you to understand, is that I actually don't want to be the first one in, right? In this scenario, I said, hey, I'm going to pat it a little so that I could be the last one in. I want to be the last one in to make sure that we're actually going. And then I want to be the first one out because all the institutions know where those levels are. They have their programming is, a billion times better than our automations. And so because of that, I want to be cognizant of it and I want to be the first one out. So I want to take my profits earlier than expected. Or another way you could do this is to say, well, Sandy's easy management on debit spreads is typically a 50%. So if I lose 50%, I'm out. And if I make 50%, I'm out. So with that in mind, if I made it like 30% or 40%, I'm out. So I just want to get out sooner than I would normally get out. And that's the way that we're going to play this today. So let's do 641.80 for a long call. Now, what else can I look at this and say? Since I bounced from that support level at 60, do you see it right here? 638.22. If we break below 638.22, higher probability that where are we going? Lower, because that's a major support level. So on the flip side, now that I already analyzed my call side, my put side is like, okay, at 638.22, it says I'm going to do 638. Remember, I want to be the last one in. I want to make sure that it's going to happen. It's not a fake out. So on 638, I'm going to get into a put debit spread because of wartime volatility. And where am I going? Well, you could see that we have a big level right here. Look at how far this level is comparably to the other levels. Wow, 631.69. Or I could just take about 30 or 40% and run. And that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and put on a SPY trade right now because it's going sideways, right? It's just going into its range. There's a higher probability today after it's done going sideways that it's going to continue to go down. But let's see what happens. A tweet could come out, piece of news comes out. Who knows? I could be wrong on that. But that's what we're looking at because we are trend traders. So we're going to go over to our let's see here, this is the trade tab. We're going to come over and go for 6 days out. So let's take April 2nd. Now you'll notice that if I had this on a single and I was looking at a call, $854, hello, or a put, $848, pretty expensive. If I drop this down to a vertical, look how much cheaper it is. Great for small accounts, by the way, right? So, and it helps you with the pricing because remember, they're gouging on the purchased options. And if you're a seller of options, you're making really good money because they jacked up the prices. So we're taking advantage of one end and kind of giving back on the other end, and that helps us with our pricing. All right, so on the call side, what we're going to do is I like to look at the price and say, okay, we're at 639 basically, and then I like to be within that area. So here I'm going to say, okay, 640, well, we're pretty close. You could actually go in by one and say 639, 640. Let's see what the odds are on this one. If we were to take a look at this and say confirm and send, you'll see on the dialog box that we're paying, right? The max you could lose is $52 to make $48. And that's actually on the inside here, the 639.40. Okay. If we take one that's just one right out of the money and we take a look at that one, we are risking $53 to make $47. So just about the same. And because of the odds, what the risk versus reward is about the same, I'd rather be more in the money just based on our activities, wartime volatility. So I'm going to take that 639, 640. And now that I have my order up here, I need another order. I need my sell order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say first triggers a sequel. I'm going to come over here and just add another order, but I'm going to I need a sell order, right? Because I'm doing my profit target. Now, the reason I don't do my stop loss is because if there's a news event or something happens and the volatility spikes, what it'll do is it will knock you out of your position, even if it was just a spike for 1 second. and really you were in profit. Knowing this about how Schwab has changed TD Ameritrade's platform on their programming then allows me to just check in once a day and take a look at it. If I'm at 50% loss, then I'm going to just go ahead and close my position manually. Okay, knowing how hairlined it is for their stop losses. They never get you out on the profit target that fast, but on the stop losses they do. So knowing that can help you better prepare. So now we're going to go into our order rules form, and we're basically going to say, okay, when SPY triggers above, right, the call side, which is the second one, and you can always just read it down here if you scroll down. And now we're going to put in that stock price, which is 641.80. And we're going to tab out of this box. And now we're going to say, okay, we don't know what the price is going to be when it hits. Right now, it's about 54 cents. We used to just say buy the ask, but because of the volatility spikes, gouging prices from 100% to 500%, now we actually put a limit price in this box to make sure that we're not overpaying. If it's under this price, no problem. Schwab will give us the best pricing. But if it's over that price, we are not getting into this contract. So if the price is at about 55 cents right now, I'm going to just say plus 25%, and that's going to be 68 cents. So I'm saying that when SPY hits 641.80, I want to get into this contract if it's 68 cents or less. You just take your calculator, you take what the going rate for this debit spread is, which is 56 cents. You add 25%, and it comes out to about 70 cents. So right here in this box, I'm just going to put 70 cents because that's my max I'm paying, because I don't know when this triggers if there's going to be some crazy volatility spike and make this contract $1.50 as an example. I'm not paying $1.50 to get into this trade. So now that we have our price, we manually set this in. So I'm going to leave it on man, put good till cancel. And now we're basically saying when this 641.80 hits, I want you to get me into a contract of a debit spread, whatever the best going rate is, anything 70 cents or below, and it will give you the best price. And I'm going to just save that right now. And now we're going to go over to our profit, right? What's our profit? Now, typically I go for 50%, but because it's been a crazy market, I'm actually going to go a lot lower. So here I'm going to go trigger. When I hit this as trigger, I then come over here and I can hit percentage. And now here, I'm just going to hit let's do a 35%. Let's do 35% and tab out. And if that box is a little too small and you can't see it, you can make it wider right up on the columns. So now we have plus 35%. Now, the reason it's not allowing me to click through is because I have this on a day, and this is good till cancel. They need to line up. It's really nice that the programming, right, the automation on Thinkorswim kind of helps you identify if there are any issues. All right, so I'm going to take a couple of these contracts, and I'm going to say confirm and send. I'm going to read this out, and it's basically saying, okay, we're going to take that 639.640 call debit spread. Our limit, our max limit is 70 cents. Anything lower is fine. It will give me the best price. And I only want this to actually go in and be active when SPY hits 641.80. Okay, so now we have our trade in for SPY. We now can go over to the put side of this. 638 was our put side. So we're going to come over here and let's see, 638. So we're going to go over to the 638, 639. We're going to buy that. We're going to say first triggers are sequel. We're going to add another contract, which is the opposite, create an opposite order because we need a sell order. And now we're going to go into our order rules form, which is where that little gear icon is. And we're going to say, okay, this is really simple, isn't it? If SPY goes below, which is the first one, see, less or equal to, and our programming is going to be 638, and we tab out. So that's good. We got 638. The going price right now is 40. Looks like around, yeah, let's just take that mid price there, which is about 38, the number one. Let's take 42. It's 43. Let's take the 43, which is our midpoint. We're going to take 43 cents plus 25%. That's 53 cents thereabouts. So I'm going to go ahead, change this to 53. Manual, good till cancel. And now we have that program. If we go less than or equal to 638, great. We're going to save that, give myself a couple contracts. And then here on this side, we're going to just click on trigger. We're going to click on percentage. We're going to put 35% like we did on the last one. And make sure that's good till cancel. Now my button is all lit up. We could go over here, take a look at it. And you can see we're buying this. Our max we're going to pay is at 53 cents. And only when it goes below 638. Guys, I now have my SPY trade in for the week. I am basically done. You just want to make sure you close out anything, by Friday, expiration next Friday, and you're good to go. Hope this was helpful. We'll see you next week and have a great week.